Yo, what up, y'all? It's your boy Rob coming back at you once again with another live stream. So before we get started, you already know what to do. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the bell icon twice. Smash the like button, share this video out to all of your followers, and let's get it cracking, all right? So shout out to everybody who's in the building early. If you guys can hear me okay, please give me a thumbs up or a radiation emoji in the chat. If you guys cannot hear me, please give me a thumbs down or an angry face. While you guys are doing that, I'm going to shout out everybody who is in the building early, all right? Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. It's good to see you. Shout out to Carlton. What's good with it, bro? And shout out to Sybil, all right? And shout out to Unsunken One. What's good with it? So what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about Kamala Harris's failed border visit, all right? Because if you guys are not aware, she visited the southern border recently. Now, we talked about this briefly in the last stream, right? And she wouldn't have visited the southern border if she thought that she was leading on this issue. If you guys would agree, and shout out to Jay Laura, what's good with it? If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. So what we're going to do is we're going to watch a couple news clips, see exactly how this border visit went. Probably in a couple of days, we'll look at her entire speech that she did at the border, which was just completely useless. And we got to ask the question, does she actually have a plan for border security? And here's another question for you guys. She's been the vice president for the last 4 years. Should anything that she says about how she'll deal with the border be trusted other than her performance as the vice president in dealing with the border? That is my question for you guys. Let me know what you guys think. Shout out to Dre D. What's good with it, bro? So let's take a look at this real quick.
Those disturbing new statistics from U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. More than 400,000 non-citizen convicted criminals are currently roaming around the United States, including more than 13,000 convicted murderers and 15,000 who have rape or sexual assault convictions. Homeland Security says that the data actually goes back decades, but those convicts are here and here illegally. What's the cost of all this? Let's bring in economist Stephen Moore. Steve, you've spent some time in Washington. You know that when bad news is coming out, any agency in Washington releases it on a Friday. This comes out Friday. And, oh, by the way, it's a Friday when half of the East Coast is being devastated by a horrific killer hurricane. I mean, clearly, somebody wanted to bury this information, and a couple of the network news programs didn't even cover it.
Now, that's an interesting thing to bring up, right? Let me ask you guys this. If this is true, why is it that the government decides to release, quote unquote, devastating or not so good sounding information on Friday? Why would they do that? And let me ask you guys this. Have you all noticed that as a pattern? Let me know.
Yeah, thank goodness, John, for Fox News, because you have been covering it. And, you know, as much as the media and the Biden administration tries to cover up this story, I think Americans are very much aware of what's going on. I have to say, those numbers shocked me. I knew it was bad. I had no idea that we have 500,000 criminals in this country who are here illegally. And I forget the number, somewhere between 10 and 20,000 felons and even murderers.
So what is Kamala Harris's plan to get rid of these criminals that are here in the United States? Because if you ask me, right, if you're going to have a plan, one of the first plans should be to deal with the border security, right? But then the immediate second plan should be to make sure that you investigate and find out who these criminal individuals are and get rid of the criminal element. That should be the probably either number one or number two priority, because those people specifically, in most cases, are the ones who are going to be the most harmful and cause the most bad effects. They're going to have the worst outcomes here in the United States. So what is Kamala Harris's plan to deal with all of these criminals that have been allowed into the southern border? That's my question for you guys.
This is wreaking havoc in a lot of our major cities, including every city from Chicago to New York to San Francisco. And let's not forget, as you were just saying on your show earlier, that Kamala Harris, whether she denies it or not, she has been in charge of the border. And it's a disgrace. And by the way, I say this as someone who is very pro-immigration. I think legal immigrants are fantastic, and they're great contributors to our economy and to our society. But you can't have 10 million people coming into the country. We don't know who they are. We don't know where they are. We don't know if they have criminal histories, whether they're terrorists. I guarantee you, by the way, Donald Trump will clean that up pretty quickly if he wins the election.
Well, what is Kamala Harris's plan to, fix the immigration problem?
Is that a trick question? I mean, does anybody know? I mean, she's been in charge for 3.75 years, and we've seen the biggest border crisis in history. I mean, I don't know, John, if it is complete incompetence or it's just ideologically that they want illegal immigrants into the country because they don't believe in a border. And let's face it. I mean, if you've got 10 million illegal immigrants in the country.
Shout out to Cindy. What's good with it, Cindy? I didn't know that you were subscribed to this channel, but welcome. Good to see you over here. Make sure y'all show Cindy some love.
And even only half of 1% of those are voting, that could swing the election. You were just reporting what's happening in Pennsylvania and Michigan and Arizona. Those are razor tight races. So if you had 30 or 40,000 illegal immigrants voting, that could decide who the next president is.
So many cities, big blue cities in this country, like New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, are sanctuary cities. And that's where a lot of these illegal immigrants are pouring in because those sanctuary cities don't cooperate with ICE.
Now, and as we also know, right, when it comes to the sanctuary cities tend to have a negative effect on neighboring cities and surrounding cities as a result of them not being able to properly manage the inflow of migrants, and that outflow, the excess, causing issues in the surrounding communities that those surrounding communities are forced to deal with, that they shouldn't have to deal with because they didn't decide to be sanctuary cities, right? Like Aurora, Colorado is not a sanctuary city, but it's stuck inside of a sanctuary state, being a suburb of a sanctuary city. As a result, they got a lot of issues with Tren de Aragua, right?
But now places like Chicago and New York are finding out that it's pretty expensive to deal with this influx.
That's a very good point, John. And I think you've got several dozen major, quote, progressive cities that have said to the illegal immigration population, come here. And by the way, this is in some ways the illegal immigrants are kind of victims of this policy because Kamala and Biden are basically saying, come on in, we're not going to stop you. And they've done that for 3.5 years. And, you see these heartbreaking photographs of mothers carrying their babies over the Rio Grande River. I was just at the border, John, a week and a half ago in Laredo, Texas, and it's a disgrace. And it doesn't benefit anyone. It doesn't benefit the migrants. It doesn't benefit American society. And you know what? It's also contaminated our immigration system. So we can't get the immigrants in the country we need and want, the ones who are productive, because the whole system is so overwhelmed.
Stephen Moore. Steve, thanks.
All right, so there's that. All right, so now next, what we're going to do is we are going to take a listen to what Kari Lake has to say about Kamala Harris's visit. All right. We're going to take a listen to what Kari Lake has to say. All right. I got a question for you guys. What do you guys think Kari Lake said? You think that she's going to give Kamala Harris some props, or you think she's going to roast Kamala Harris? Let me know what you guys think.
Back now to the border, the open border. On Friday, the vice president traveled to the southern border in Douglas, Arizona, calling for tougher border security measures, despite having an open border policy throughout the Biden-Harris administration that has seen more than...
Now, that's a great point, right? How do you have tougher border security measures when your entire presidency, your entire vice presidency, you were partnered with a president who has open borders, an open border policy, and you didn't do anything to push back on those open borders? Now, because it's a popular voter issue, we're supposed to believe you that you are interested in securing or closing down the border. How many people believe Kamala Harris on this issue? If you guys believe her on this issue, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't, then give me a thumbs down.
Than 8 million people illegally enter America, hundreds on the terrorist watch list, thousands of others already having committed murder, as well as more than 2 million evading apprehension altogether, the gotaways who have disappeared into America without a trace. Immigration and Customs Enforcement revealing this week to Texas Congressman Tony Gonzalez that more than 13,000 illegal immigrants convicted of murder are currently free in the United States and on ICE's non-detained docket. In a statement to Fox News, Homeland Security says this: the data in this letter is being misinterpreted. The data goes back decades. It includes individuals who are entered the country over the past 40 years or more, the vast majority of whose custody determination was made long before this administration. It also includes many who are under the jurisdiction or currently incarcerated by federal, state, and local law enforcement partners. Joining me now with more on the Biden-Harris border crisis is Arizona Senate candidate Carrie Lake and Art Del Creto. He's the vice president of the National Border Patrol Council. Thanks very much for being here to you both. I want to get the facts on the ground. First off, Art, take this on. The DHS is saying, no. The 13,000 people who are in this country who are actually murderers already, that's being misinterpreted.
Well, I mean, I think it's just sweeping under the ground, under the rug, because the story came out, and you've got to ask these individuals, where's anyone that you've allowed in the country? That's what you got to ask them. Where are all the people that have come in under this administration? Where are they? Have you kept track of them?
Yeah, I think that's actually a great question. And I don't think that they'll be able to answer that question. Not only do they come in undocumented, which means that they're difficult to keep track of to start with, but they also do not keep track of them once they get here in the United States. This is not speculation. There's proof that they don't keep track of these people. The proof that they don't keep track of these people is all of these Trinidad Aragua members, all of these Venezuelan gang members who end up getting arrested. And then once they get arrested and they finally run the background, these people came in the United States southern border elsewhere, got into trouble with the court system elsewhere, and then get released back into the United States. If there was some type of tracking on these people, in my opinion, for the most part, there wouldn't be as much freedom of movement to these criminal migrants. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to the specialists and shout out to everybody that's watching. I really appreciate you guys. If you all have not smashed the like button yet, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys have not hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell, and also please share this stream to your social media. All right. Also, if you're not part of the Discord, take a moment, hit that link that's pinned in the chat, join the Discord, and please make sure that you subscribe to my channel on Rumble. And we got the 1-to-1 ratio popping off. Shout out to everybody. We got 13 live viewers and 13 likes. Make sure you guys drop some hundreds in the chat for doing a great job with the engagement. I appreciate you guys.
And if they're going to come back and say, oh, no, this is decades, well, then you know what? They haven't been doing their job for decades, because where are all these individuals that they've allowed in the country? But again, I think it's just something, they're just trying to, change the focus on it and look at something, making you look at something else. But the issue is clear. And I think the American public understands that. And we just cannot afford 4 more years of this.
Yeah, I have the letter to Tony Gonzalez here, Carrie Lake, and basically they're saying that it's 13,000 people who have committed murder that are running free, 15,000 others who have committed rape. Your reaction to Kamala Harris's border visit in Arizona on Friday?
Now, these numbers, right? These numbers are wild, man. These numbers are very, very bad. You know what I'm saying? And the thing that's really bad about these numbers is that these numbers will be virtually impossible to reverse. They'll be virtually impossible to reverse. So my question for you is, I believe that this right here is one of the biggest issues of the migrant crisis. What do you all think that Kamala Harris said or did to address this in her border visit? What do you guys think that she said or did?
I found it despicable. She spent 20 minutes on the border. She's been the border czar, Maria, for almost 4 years now. And she came down, I think, to...
Oh, and you know what? Somebody else, right? I think it was the New York Post reported this. The New York Post reported, and somebody, you guys, let me know if you heard this as well. The New York Post said that she wore a $62,000 necklace down to the border. Did anybody else hear that? If you guys heard that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys did not hear that, give me a thumbs down. Okay.
Make her friends in the mainstream media happy so that they could finally say she visited the border. Spent 20 minutes staring down at her feet, standing next to the wall. And I was surprised she didn't call Joe Biden and say, we did it, Joe. We destroyed America, because that's exactly what they're attempting to do. And Art just mentioned it. 30,000 convicted rapists and murderers are roaming around in our country. What they didn't mention in that list was the number of terrorists that are in our country right now. And we're living in dangerous times. They just discovered IEDs and other weapons right on the other side of the border in Arizona. And, you have to wonder, are those meant for some of the terrorists that are now roaming around? And what about the 325,000 children who've been trafficked over our border, who Kamala Harris and my opponent...
Now, there's a couple things that I want to talk about, right? You guys... unfortunately for you guys, I fell asleep. You guys actually had like 7 good hours of content coming, but now I'm not able to do it all because I fell asleep. So thumbs down and L's in the chat for me, right? I fell asleep. But I got 2 other streams that I want to do, right? The first stream that I want to do is the evolved methods of the cartel, because the cartel are using a lot of new methods to bring people here into the border, all right? Shout out to Deacon Dave. What's good with it, bro? Now, the other stream that I wanted to do, Deacon Dave will like this. This will be a stream that Deacon Dave will like. We're going to talk about the Congo, right? Because, you know, there's been some fact checks. They're trying to say that Trump's not telling the truth about the Congo. Literally the same people that are saying Trump's not telling the truth about the Congo. These very same people actually wrote articles substantiating the stuff that Trump said about the Congo. So there's that, right? And then we got to talk about your girl, Nancy Mace. We got to talk about your girl, Nancy Mace. Not only did she take out Michael Eric Dyson, right? There is a quote unquote sanctuary sheriff in South Carolina that Nancy Mace has in her crosshairs. All right. And I think that is interesting, and people should pay attention to the stuff that Nancy Mace has to say about this sanctuary sheriff, because what this sanctuary sheriff is alleged of doing is wild. How many people heard about that? If you guys heard about that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys did not hear about that, then give me a thumbs down.
Ruben Gallego, who's in lockstep with her, have lost track of. My opponent has been 100% voting with Kamala Harris. He's open borders. He calls the border wall dumb and stupid. And he said he would never, ever, ever put a penny into building it. And he is for these sanctuary cities. I was recently in New York. That city is a wreck right now, and you can blame it on illegal
Oh man, Carrie Lake always had me dying, man. I thought she was one of the Braxton sisters for a minute. My bad, Carrie. I thought you was one of the Braxton sisters for a minute. You know what I'm saying?
Immigration, even though they're not on the southern border, they're feeling the effects of it.
Yeah, Art, what about that? I mean, the children who have been missing and trafficked, what can you tell us about life on the ground there in Texas with this open border? What has been the impact?
Well, I think the impact has been felt across every single state, and obviously on the border states. People, this is the problem. They haven't kept track of anyone coming through the border. And now we're seeing it out in California. A lot of these children that are being trafficked into the country, they're coming across, and we're getting reports that they're coming with melatonin. So the traffickers are giving these children melatonin, putting them to sleep. That way they don't make noise as they're coming into the United States. So
oh, wow, that's wild. Wow. Did you guys hear that? We're gonna run this back. Now, you know, melatonin is not a controlled substance. Right? You know, melatonin is a herb, but still though, that's wild that they're giving the kids melatonin, shut them up, right? So that they're not detectable while they bring them to the southern border. It's kind of crazy, kind of wild. You know what I'm saying?
It's about life on the ground now, there in Texas.
Here's another question that I want to ask that might be something that people haven't really considered. How much coordination at the southern border do you all think, or how much collaboration at the southern border do you all think is taking place between Mexican cartels and Tren de Aragua? Do you think that there's a level of cooperation, a level of commerce, or a level of business going on between those two entities? If you guys think that there is, give me a thumbs up. If you guys think that there is not, give me a thumbs down. And either way, let me know what you think is going on down there.
With this open border, what has been the impact?
Well, I think the impact has been felt across every single state, and obviously on the border states. People, this is the problem. They haven't kept track of anyone coming through the border. And now we're seeing it out in California. A lot of these children that are being trafficked into the country, they're coming across, and we're getting reports that they're coming with melatonin. So the traffickers are giving these children melatonin, putting them to sleep. That way they don't make noise as they're coming into the United States. So it just makes it even worse. And look, Carrie Lake and myself, we've been accused many times of saying, oh, you know, they're spreading fear for no reason. You've heard it said, every state's a border state. Carrie and myself, we live in an actual border state. Tucson sector is at the very top of the list when it comes to encounters. And I can tell you right now, if this administration is given 4 more years after the chaos that they've created in the time they've already been here, they're going to feel empowered, and they're going to realize, hey, we don't need to do anything. Just continue what we're doing because people don't care.
I actually agree with what this guy is saying. I agree with what this guy is saying. If this administration is allowed another 4 years, that's going to give them positive reinforcement, right? Classical conditioning, positive reinforcement, no negative consequence is going to give them positive reinforcement to psychologically indicate to them that people don't care about this issue as much as they claim that they do, and they're going to keep it going. I don't disagree with that. You know what I'm saying? It makes perfect sense.
The American public has to care. They have to show it come election time, because if we have 4 more years of this, I do not believe we'll ever recuperate. It's going to be devastating, and we will not recuperate in this country for many, many decades to come. And certainly we will.
I would go as far as to say the level of damage that the Biden and Harris administration, the level of damage that they've created at this point right now, currently, I would say that right now we're where it would take possibly decades to fix if we get politicians in who are actually interested and invested in fixing it, or politicians who are able to fix it because they don't have, like the House or the Senate blocking every move that they make. I think that we're currently at those levels where the damage is that much. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Deacon Dave. Deacon Dave says, is it they just hate Trump, or do they agree with Biden-Harris policy? Who is that? People that don't agree with what these guys are saying here. They hate Trump or agree with Biden-Harris policy. I would say that when it comes to people making those type of decisions, I would say it's that they just hate Trump. I would say that it's that they just hate Trump. And the reason why I would say that it's that they just hate Trump is because if you pay attention in a lot of the blue cities, they are literally going on news outlets, Fox, local news, and saying that they don't like the migrant crisis. If you ask me, the migrant crisis as we see it today is solely the result of Democrat policies and politicians. So that should make the logic for voters, right, very easy to determine who the candidate of choice should be, right? Just because Kamala Harris goes to the border and then says, I'm going to do X, Y, Z, if we look at her past record and her track record and her rhetoric, right? Because the thing is that her actions match her word. How many people, how many people have heard that saying, action speaks louder than words? If you've ever heard that saying, give me a thumbs up. If you guys have not heard that saying, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to Carla. What's good with it, Carla? Now, why am I saying that? I'm saying that because if you match all of Kamala Harris's actions about how she deals with immigration with her words and the actions that have taken place over the last 4 years, her actions literally match her words. So now all of a sudden, halfway through the game, her words change. I don't know if I trust that. You know what I mean? I don't know if I trust that.
We'll never recuperate within our own lifetime.
I want to hit on that when we come back. I want to look at the future. We're talking with Arizona Senate candidate Kari Lake and National Border Patrol Council Vice President Art Del Cueto. We'll be back with more on Sunday Morning Future. Stay with us. Welcome back. I'm back with Arizona Senate candidate Kari Lake and National Border Patrol Council Vice President Art Del Cueto. Art, what about this Tren-de-Aragua gang? Finally, we're seeing some arrests, but they are raging across Colorado, New York, Texas. How significant is this gang? What are they doing?
Well, so look, you've only seen what they've allowed you to see. That's what the problem is. Under the administration, they've been able to import so many criminals.
Today's your birthday, Carla? Shout out to Carla. Make sure y'all show Carla some love. Throw some birthday emoji and some membership emoji in the chat for Carla. Happy birthday. Or as they would say on Undocumented, what is it? Feliz cumpleaños.
In so many different entities, but Tren-de-Aragua, it's kind of like the Mara Salvatrucha on steroids. These people, they don't care, and the reason you continue to see, the devastation is because there's no consequences. There hasn't been any consequences for any of these criminals the entire time that this administration has been in power, and you're going to continue to see them come across because no one's stopping them. All they have to do is come across, ask for asylum.
Now, I want to see, these are the things that we got to notice. We got to pay attention to these things, and we got to start asking these questions. We got 15 people watching. Shout out to all 15 people who are here. Can anybody name a media outlet or even a media outlet segment other than Fox or any conservative media where they've brought Border Patrol employees on to talk with and have interviews with? When has NBC, ABC, CNN, or CBS, when have they brought on border agents? Have they brought on border agents? And if they have, when? And if they haven't, why haven't they? Oh, today is your nephew's birthday. Okay, well, happy birthday to your nephew. That's what's good.
And they get released, and they all know that. So they're going to continue to come in. And you mentioned the big cities, but you know what? They're in a lot of other cities as well. We just haven't seen the impact to the effect that we've seen in areas like Colorado, Chicago, and New York.
This is why immigration. This is why immigration is the #1 issue for voters. How confident are you, Carrie Lake, of a free and fair election, transparent and fair election in November? Real quick.
Well, I hope we have one. I mean, if we can just have a little more fair, then I think we can win, because the people have had it up to here with this nonsense. I'm running against a guy who's not going to confront the cartels. He will coddle them.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart.
All right, so there's that. All right, so now next what we're going to do is we're going to look at more projections, right? We're going to look at more projections of what people think it will be like if if Kamala Harris wins. All right. But before we do that, let me see. Hold on. We're going to look at a couple other things, and I'm going to bring something back here. Hold on real quick. Let me see. 1 second. Real quick, while I'm doing this, if you guys could take a moment and smash that like button, that would be wonderful. If you guys haven't hit the bell, take a moment, hit the bell, and also please share the stream to your social media. Hold on 1 second. All right, my bad. We're gonna actually watch an entire Trump stream on immigration at some point. All right. Let me see. Hold on. Give me 1 second here. All right. Because there's a lot of stuff that I want to show you guys. And not a lot of time. Let's see. All right, here we go.
President Donald Trump returned to the Badger State today for the second time this month. Our Elia LaLiberte was in Prairie du Chien with what Trump touched on.
President Trump speaking here in Prairie du Chien for roughly an hour and a half, and this set up here a key indication of the issue that took center stage: immigration. The arts arena in Prairie du Chien decorated with mugshots and.
Now we just talked about Prairie du Chien, right? We recently just talked about Prairie du Chien. Let me ask you guys this: when we talked about Prairie du Chien, what did we talk about as far as Prairie du Chien?
Reading end immigrant crime and deport illegals now.
Millions and millions of people to come through our border and make our civilization very unsafe.
Discussing a specific incident in Prairie du Chien.
This vile monster was charged with holding a mother and daughter captive against their will and sexually assaulting them again and again and again. This animal crossed Kamala's wide open border.
That incident was allegedly committed by a Venezuelan immigrant, Alejandro Jose Cornel Zarate, who the police department says had fake immigration documents. Although he is believed to have an affiliation with a gang, the crime in Prairie du Chien was separate. Prairie du Chien police chief also spoke to the crowd, saying that Cornel Zarate is the only gang member the police have encountered.
Now, here's the thing, right? Does that make it? I mean, who cares? Right? Like, I don't know. I think that that's actually worse. I think that it's actually worse if this individual was not affiliated with a gang, right? And he did the heinous crimes that he did. He allegedly sexually assaulted a mother-daughter pair repeatedly. There's a video up on this channel about this individual, okay?
By a Venezuelan immigrant, Alejandro Jose Cornel Zarate, who the police department says had fake immigration documents. Although he is believed to have an affiliation with a gang, the crime in Prairie du Chien was separate. Prairie du Chien police chief also spoke to the crowd, saying that Cornel Zarate is the only gang member the police have encountered.
Don't cold killers, drug dealers, gang members. Every country in the world is taking their worst people, their criminals that are outside of jail, the gangs that hurt people.
However, undocumented people are significantly less likely to commit crimes than citizens, according to a study from Northwestern University. And according to U.S. Customs and Border Protection, the largest criminal non-citizen conviction this year is nonviolent. That's illegal entry and re-entry. Trump calling out the other side of the aisle just one day after Harris's visit to the southern border, nicknaming her the border czar, calling her, quote, mentally impaired, and saying she should resign.
I watched this show that she put on. 4 years of the most incompetent border anywhere in the world in history. Kamala Harris traveled to the scene. In fact, she stood near where I put up border wall.
The former president also touching on the economy, foreign relations, and other issues, but hammering home on immigration.
This is more important than anything having to do with the economy. We'll make it better. We'll make the economy. This is something bigger in a sense, because this is the fabric of our country.
Trump showcasing a confident front for winning Wisconsin.
38 days from now, we are going to win Wisconsin. We're going to defeat Kamala Harris.
All right, so there's that. All right, and I think that he actually made some good points. So now there's a video that was put out by the Texas Department of Safety. We're going to take a quick look at it, all right? And what it's talking about is 16 illegal immigrants who were found behind a false wall in a cargo trailer. How many people heard about this? If you guys heard about this, give me a thumbs up. If you guys did not hear about this, then give me a thumbs down. All right, so let's take a look at this here.
You don't know where the insurance is? Is this your pickup?
No, he's not mine. I'm
Driving it for a buddy?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It's a limo? Yeah, it's an older limo.
Have you seen it?
97. It's all black. Yeah. It's all black, like a 97 Lincoln.
So here's my question, man. Can I search that trailer?
Yeah.
And the limo inside of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And real quick, shout out to everybody that's watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed the like button yet, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit the bell, and subscribe to the channel. So far, we've got 18 people watching and we got 19 likes. I appreciate you guys staying on the 1-to-1. Make sure you guys throw some 100s in the chat. Let's try to get the likes to 37.
Limo. You see the door right there? Where? Run that.
Hey, bro, I need a square bit.
You got a flashlight, Rob? Yeah. There's people in there, bro.
Is there really?
Yeah.
Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. So you guys see this, right? You guys see this. Look at this. Look at this. Watch this. I'm gonna run this back real quick. You guys see how they had these people hidden in this wall behind this limo that was parked inside of this semi-tractor trailer? If you guys see it, give me a thumbs up. If y'all don't, give me a thumbs down. This is wild.
The limo. You see the door right there? Where? Run that.
Hey, bro, I need a square bit.
See, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Shout out to J Lord. J Lord said he hit the like when he came in the door. If y'all hit the like when y'all came in the door, throw them thumbs up. And shout out to Deacon Dave. Deacon Dave says deportation. Yeah, I agree. Like, I mean, again, you have to take this into consideration. If your first act coming into the United States is a criminal act, that should be an indicator of something, right? But for whatever reason, it just looks past, you know.
You got a flashlight, Rob? Yeah. There's people in there, bro.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I'm gonna get them out, bro. Yeah, it's too hot.
Get that.
Yeah. Oh.
Hey, should we up? Yeah.
Now, I want you guys to pay attention to this, right? There's a lot here. Now, you know, this is innocent and they're locking these poor people up. That's what we're supposed to expect, right? But check this out, though. This woman has a Nautica shirt on, right? And you see she's got a bottle of Pedialyte in her hand, right? Now, the lady next to her, it looks like she's got a couple bottles of Gatorade. See, she's got a bottle of Pedialyte. Now, look at her. She's got some Gatorade. So now let me ask you guys this. If these people were prisoners, you know, and they just got taken against their will and, you know, unfortunate for them, they just got thrown, you know, somewhere. Who warned them about hydration and needing to have hydration and electrolyte drinks? Because they have hydration and electrolyte drinks to help them not overheat while they're barricaded in those quarters, being hidden, being smuggled into the United States.
Hey, should we up? Yeah.
Say it's more than 10. No, this one.
There goes another one with Gatorade. What's the purpose of those Gatorades? What's the purpose of that Pedialyte? Why do they have that? Now look at this. This is the dude that was the smuggler. Look at the dude that's the smuggler. Anthony Johnson, smuggling persons. You know what I'm saying? Where Carlton at? Too bad Carlton ain't here. Anthony Johnson. So let me ask you guys. So you got the Democrat politicians, right? You got Democrat politicians doing this. And then in Texas, right, where Texas is a quote unquote majority minority state. And when it comes to majority minority, they're not talking about people like Anthony Johnson. They're talking about people like the people that Anthony Johnson was smuggling in. You got him doing that. So let me ask you guys this. When you got politicians like Brandon Johnson and you got guys like Anthony Johnson trying to do this, I think there's a lot of issues that need to be addressed and dealt with even before we actually get into the voting. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, then give me a thumbs down. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, shout out to Carlos so that they don't so they keep them hydrated. Yeah, I wonder if he's related, right? Shout out to Deacon Dave. I wonder if he's related. Now we got the the slave owner, and then now we got the smuggler. Interesting, right? Oh man, very interesting. You know what I'm saying? To say the least, right? So now what we're about to do is we're gonna take, speaking of Texas, right? We're gonna move from the back of that truck to talk about Texas and see what Governor Abbott is saying about another 4 years of a Biden-Harris administration.
Now to the impact on America, the Biden-Harris foreign policy of no deterrence for adversaries and a wide open border has invited hundreds of terrorists that we know of into America. Over 350 individuals on the U.S. terrorist watch list have been apprehended at the southern border in just the last 3 years. Among the most troubling, dangerous gangs from Venezuela, causing Texas Governor Greg Abbott this week to act, officially designating the Tren de Aragua Venezuelan gang a foreign terrorist threat. After the group took over an apartment building in Aurora, Colorado a few weeks ago, harassing residents, they tried to do the same thing to a hotel in El Paso, Texas last week. The governor continuing his fight to protect America's southern border and the impact of 10 million illegals entering America under the Biden-Harris administration. Joining me now with the very latest is the man.
For people who are voting, if you ask me, right, and I want to know what you guys think about this. For people who are voting, these numbers alone should make the decision. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. I don't know how people could go to the voting booth, see these numbers, know these numbers, and then still vote for the people who are responsible for these numbers. As a matter of fact, if you ask me, these numbers are so bad that the people who are responsible for these numbers, they shouldn't, like, these numbers are so bad, the numbers should be keeping these people off of the ballot. I don't understand how I don't even understand how they still have a place on the ballot. That to me is bizarre. If you guys would agree that that's extremely bizarre, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, then give me a thumbs down.
Man himself, Texas Governor Greg Abbott. Governor, thanks very much for being here this morning. We so appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Please talk to us about Tren de Aragua and what moved you to designate them a foreign threat.
They are known as the most treacherous international gang. Unlike the Mexican drug cartels, they actually come into countries and try to establish a base in those countries and then be able to wreak carnage with their criminal behavior. And remember this, and that is the policy by the Biden administration is to allow any Venezuelan who wants to come into our country to enter here. And because the Biden administration does not have diplomatic relationships with Venezuela, there's no background checks or background information on any of these people coming from Venezuela to the United States. And hence, it makes it so easy for this TDA Venezuela gang that's so treacherous to come to the United States and set up bases. There are bases in New York and other states across the country, and now including even in the state of Texas. My top goal is to make sure that we protect our fellow Texans, and so I declared this organization a foreign terrorist organization, organized our anti-gang units across the entire state of Texas so that law enforcement at the federal, state, and local levels prioritize this group. We identify them, we seek them out, we arrest them and put them in jail so that TDA will take their activities elsewhere.
Yeah. So what can you do that you couldn't do before because you named them, designated them a foreign terrorist group?
So this is an action pursuant to a law that I signed this last session in the state of Texas that gives the state some additional powers. One is to use court procedures that will accelerate the process going after them. Another that will allow the seizure of any type of property that TDA has in the state of Texas. A third is one that increases criminal penalties against them so that when we do arrest them, they will be behind bars sometimes with mandatory minimum sentences of at least a decade or more.
Governor, what do you think the policies will be at the border if Kamala Harris wins this election? She's done a lot of flip-flopping, as you know, from fracking to the border, and she claims that she will protect the border. Of course, we know she hasn't done so in the last 3.5 years, but what would you expect should she win this race?
So you can expect what she's done as vice president. You can expect what she articulated when she first ran for president, and that is she supports eliminating illegal immigration as a crime. She supports giving magnet-drawing immigration policies such as free health care to people crossing the border. She believes in eliminating ICE.
Now, let me ask you guys this, right? When it comes to what Abbott is saying here, is he correct? Is he fair in his assessment of Kamala Harris? Or should what he says be looked past? Because again, if you ask me, as I'm listening to what he's saying, I don't disagree with what he's saying. Why should she not? Why should she not be held accountable at the booth to her words? And why should people have an issue with it just because Abbott is saying it? On social media, on YouTube, all over the place, a lot of influential YouTubers have created a culture of if somebody that you don't like or somebody that you have an issue with for whatever reason says 1 + 1, then somehow it doesn't equal 2 anymore. A lot of the social media content creators that people look at as thought leaders, who are actually not thought leaders at all, they're cult leaders and echo chamber leaders. And people don't like the people that they like being talked about in that way. But what should be more important than those people being talked about and actually talked about in an honest way, the way that they actually are, and the disasters and horrible thought processes and cognitive ways of looking at things that they've created on social media with their cults and phraseology, is that they claim to be trying to create a more informed voter when they're actually creating an illogical thought process. Abbott said the same thing that I said about Kamala Harris. Now, I'm going to ask you guys this question. Does that make me a coon? Because there's plenty of social media content creators, especially certain places on YouTube, that, I'm a coon. But then at the same time, they'll flip out about border policy. They'll flip out about migrants. They even got special things and, words and different ways to describe these type of people, right? What kind of sense does that make? So as far as like upholding the monolith, like we've said before, there's two types of there's two monoliths. There's two monoliths. There's the old monolith, and then there's the new monolith, right? And neither of them does anything efficiently. Both of them will ultimately have the same results. You know what I'm saying?
Check the border. Of course, we know she hasn't done so in the last 3.5 years, but what would you expect should she win this race?
So you can expect what she's done as vice president. You can expect what she articulated when she first ran for president, and that is she supports eliminating illegal immigration as a crime. She supports giving magnet-drawing immigration policies such as free health care to people crossing the border. She believes in eliminating ICE. This would be the most destructive border policy ever, making Biden's border policy actually even look good. And so as bad as illegal immigration is already, it will be far worse under a Harris administration.
Hey, look, shout out to Deacon Dave. Deacon Dave said, quote unquote, I'm a coon, quote unquote, technically. Listen, over here, we got this saying. There's a thin line between pro-blacks and coons. You know what I'm saying? There's a very thin line. So, you know, that's how, just so you know the culture, you know what I'm saying? That's how we look at it. At least that's how I look at it. You know, it might not be everybody that watches the content might not be on board with me on that. But just so people know, and most people do in here, that's my position. My position on that whole thing is that there is and we call it the thin black line. You know what I'm saying? And we show when a lot of the coons say the same things or behave in the same ways as pro-blacks, that there's a very thin line. There's a small line of fabric like space-time, like quantum foam that holds pro-blacks and coons together. And one of the biggest differences is not rhetoric. One of the biggest differences is not behavior. The biggest difference is audience. The biggest difference is audience and reason for delivering the message to that audience. Not so much ideology, not so much different beliefs. It's just audience. It's just who they sell their product to. That's it. It's the only difference. They want the same things. Interestingly, say the same things. Interestingly, and in many cases, the motivation is the same. In many cases, the motivation for, you know, quote unquote, being pro-black and the motivation for being a coon is rooted in simping. A lot of times, it's rooted in simping. You know what I'm saying? So that's our official position. You know what I'm saying?
Administration.
Yeah, and you know, they're boasting about the fact that the numbers are down from the highs. I mean, at the highs, what we were talking about, 8,000 people a day coming through the border there in Texas. But those numbers are down. What we don't talk about is the fact that oftentimes they're down because this administration has decided to start flying them in, right? They're putting them on planes, flying them to swing states across the country.
Well, you are true, but let's be clear about something else. So they're claiming that the numbers are down because of Biden's executive order in June. The reality is, because of action that Texas took, they began going down last year.
Right.
Because Texas represents 2/3 of the border, because we reduced illegal immigration by about 85% in the state of Texas. Of course, the border numbers are going to be down. But you mentioned something else that not enough Americans know, and that is another reason.
So look, to add on to that, right? To add on to that little tangent, right? How many people saw TD's video about Mark Robinson? If you guys saw the TD Media Group video about Mark Robinson, give me a thumbs up. If you guys did not see the TD Media Group video about Mark Robinson, give me a thumbs down. Now, why am I saying that? I'm saying that to say this. If you listen to Mark Robinson, if you took his name away and you just wrote down what he said on a piece of paper, people would say, oh, man, listen to him. Oh, he preaching. Listen to him. He preaching. Listen to him. He's preaching. And then when you reveal who said it, it was Mark Robinson. It was Mark Robinson. And I'm saying that to say this. These people are all the same. These people, they're all the same. You know what I'm saying? They're all the same.
Why the crossings at the border are down is because Biden is flying them across the border and then moving them to cities across the entire United States.
Extraordinary, simply extraordinary. Governor, real quick on this gang, what do you see in Texas in terms of the Tren de Aragua? I know that there are plenty of stories of these individuals running around New York City as well, doing petty crimes, but what's the worst of it? What have you seen?
Well, one of the worst parts of it is the Tren de Aragua gang were involved allegedly in the shooting and the attack of the assault of those New York police officers.
Right.
They were involved in the killing of Laken Riley. And so these are very treacherous, dangerous, and murderous gang members, and we must stop them in their tracks right now.
Governor, thank you so much for your leadership. Great.
All right. So again, you got to ask the question, right? And we got to review this every single time that we talk about it. In what world would people see a benefit for voting for politicians that are pro those type of policies that allow an influx of individuals like Tren de Aragua in? What is the and then again, if you ask me, there should be voter accountability for this. How many people agree? If you all agree that there should be voter accountability for this, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't think that there should be voter accountability for this, give me a thumbs down. I think that there should absolutely be voter accountability for this. And people who have been haphazardly and seemingly voting reckless for this kind of idiocy for a very long time, they and them directly should be dealing with the disastrous consequences, which if you ask me, if you take a look, right, if you take a look on paper and you look at certain things, certain areas, it's arguable that people are suffering from the issues of this, and they're not very happy about it, and they're lashing out. But if you listen to their lashing out, they're not holding themselves accountable at all for idiotic decisions over a long duration of time, right? And honestly, there's no indication of behavior change either. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Let me ask you this question. Does 86% support for Kamala Harris show an indication of a necessity to change behavior or an indication of realizing that a behavior change is necessary? If it does, give me a thumbs up. If it does not, give me a thumbs down.
Back down to the race for the White House. Vice President Harris, again, in the Bay Area today, as you heard at the top of our show, fresh off a visit to the U.S.-Mexico border yesterday, where she vowed to do more to secure it. At the same time, Republicans released new data about how many undocumented immigrants have committed crimes. KTV's Amanda Quintana looks into one of the biggest issues this election cycle, immigration.
In her first trip to the southern border since becoming the Democratic nominee, Vice President Kamala Harris walked along it with border agents. She vowed to do more to secure the border, including bringing in more personnel and inspection systems with the technology to detect fentanyl. She also called for a better way to welcome immigrants legally.
I reject the false choice that suggests we must either choose between securing our border or creating a system of immigration that...
Yeah, I would actually agree. Carla. Now, here's the only issue, right? When it comes to some of those places, like the Venezuelan people, I don't see why the federal government can't do something about this. See, this is where the federal government comes in. The federal government should do something to enforce Venezuela taking Venezuelan illegal migrants back. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would not agree, give me a thumbs down. Now, here's how I feel about that. I believe that the countries where I believe that the countries that will take the people back, Abbott should have definitely sent those people back to those countries that will take the people back. As far as the other people go, the other people should be... Now, here's what I might have done if I was Abbott. I might not have sent them to sanctuary cities. I might have sent some of them to sanctuary cities. Maybe. It depends, right? Or I would send them to other states that are red states that are compliant with ICE and have those red states detain them in their ICE facilities. What do you guys think about that? If you guys think that that's a decent idea, that would have been a better thing than what Abbott did, then give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't, then give me a thumbs down.
that is safe, orderly, and humane. We can and we must do both. We must do both.
Political analyst Brian Sobel says it was important for Harris to visit the border because she's behind Trump when it comes to immigration.
Frankly.
Yeah, I got to agree. I got to agree with Jay. Jay says Venezuela is not working with the U.S. Venezuela is not working with us after second attempt on the president's life and attacks. Yeah, I would agree. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that they're absolutely not going to work with us at all. And remember, if you guys recall earlier in the year, Biden was actually going to make some type of agreement with Maduro to get oil because we were down so bad after the Russia-Ukraine war started out. It's like, seriously?
Kamala Harris is going to be weak on that because of 3.5 years of these folks coming into the United States and committing crimes and other things without an apparent administration plan to block it.
While Harris was in Arizona, former President Trump was in Michigan, continuing to blame Harris for immigration issues. He pointed to new numbers released by Immigration and Customs Enforcement.
According to this brand new data, never seen before, over 13,099 convicted murderers have crossed the border and are free to roam and kill in our country.
These numbers he's referring to were in a letter from the Deputy Director of ICE to Republican lawmaker Tony Gonzalez in Texas, who released the letter. It shows the number of undocumented immigrants who have been detained or not detained who have committed crimes, either in the United States or abroad, from low-level traffic offenses to assault and fraud. It shows nearly 15,000 who have not been detained have been convicted.
Now, shout out to everybody that's watching. We got 20 people watching. And we got 24 likes. If everybody could take a moment, smash that like button. We off to 1-1. Make sure that you guys hit that like button. If you guys haven't hit the bell and subscribe to the channel, take a moment, hit the bell twice, subscribe to the channel, and also please share the stream to your social media.
Convicted or charged with homicide, and more than 20,000 convicted or charged with sexual assault.
The numbers will be wrestled with for a while to decide whether they're legitimate, and the sources of the numbers and all of it has to be vetted. But setting all of that aside, Americans feel it. They intuitively understand that there's an issue that needs to be dealt with and solved.
Thank you.
Sobel says this is an issue Trump will take and run with. And for the Harris campaign, it might be too little too late to flip this narrative, at least on this one issue. Amanda Quintana, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
Yeah, I think it's way too little too late for the Harris administration to flip the narrative on this issue. And honestly, I don't think that it would be wise for people to actually trust or believe that the Harris administration even has a vested interest in switching the narrative. I don't think that they have a vested interest. I mean, if they had a vested interest, this would be something that they were working on the entire time, right? They've had 4 years in office already.
Storm Helene now barreling north as it has carved a path of death and destruction in its wake. There are reports at least 6 people have lost their lives across Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina. It's still early, I hate to say, in this process. You look at the monster size of this thing as it moves its way up the south. These 4 million people have...
Yeah, I got to agree, Carla. Or shout out to, it's not Carla. The green got me confused. Shout out to DC Precise. I would agree. DC Precise says Hot Wheels Abbott did that to troll folks all huffy and puffy chested, saying, bring them on. They have a home here. And then he said, okay, hold my chips and salsa. Now, here goes my question. Who got trolled by those sanctuary people, right? The people in the sanctuary states, who got trolled by them saying, send them all here, send them all here. They can come here. They can come here. And you voted for us. And by voting for us, we're going to divvy out your resources to these other people who come here. Because the thing is, if you ask me, right? If you ask me, being a sanctuary state, those people who created the idea of sanctuary states and uphold those sanctuary states, they should have always been aware that at some point, dealing with a massive amount of immigrants or migrants could be a possibility. That should have been, because that's what those sanctuary cities and states were set up for. Would you guys agree? So knowing that that's what they were set up for, they should have at some point in time assumed, well, you know what I'm saying? Like, this check might get cashed at some point. So we got to be ready. It's the same thing as like any type of emergency system, right? How many people do emergency preparedness to not be prepared for an emergency? Unfortunately, most times when an emergency happens, it kind of exposes how unprepared people are, right, for the emergency preparedness. But the purpose of the emergency preparedness is to actually be prepared when an emergency or an event happens, right? Now, if you ask me, most of those sanctuary states set up those sanctuary states for political opposition purposes, and most of them never, ever thought that they were going to ever see an influx of migrants. And because they're not on the border, they thought that they could say, see, we have all of this nice stuff for migrants. Why can't the states on the border do it? And what ended up happening was, okay, well, you have so much nice stuff for the migrants. It's time to start shelling some of it out. Now that it's time to start shelling some of it out, there isn't any. Now the people that live in these states don't like these policies anymore. You know what I'm saying? And I got to agree. Shout out to DC. DC said no country you continue to sanction is going to help you do a damn thing, especially if they can trade with China and BRICS countries. Yeah, I agree. I agree. And shout out to Jay. Jay says, yeah, their excuses are terrible as well. She's only the vice president. She wasn't the border lead. Right, which one of her main jobs that she was assigned was to study, assess, and decrease the incoming immigration from South and Central America. If you guys would agree with that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, then give me a thumbs down. What it is that they're trying to paint a picture that Kamala Harris shouldn't have to do her job. And what's wild about this and what's sad about this is that a lot of times we see this. A lot of times we see this. Excuses will be made so that somebody doesn't have to do their job. Kamala Harris didn't do her job. She's not going to do her job in the future. And it just needs to be plainly said she didn't do her job. Neither did her predecessor. She should have some form of influence, right, on the president to where she's advising or leading. She shouldn't be advising or leading. She should at the very least be advising the president to make better decisions. She's supposed to act as a counsel. Let me ask you guys this. Has she acted as a counsel? Shout out to Patrick. Patrick says Abbott sent those illegals to city where lots of blacks are at. I would say the Dems and Republicans were working together. Well, now check this out. People aren't going to like this, right? I would say that those people in those cities worked with the Dems to put them in office. Would anybody disagree with that? So we got two issues with working together, if this is the case, right? We got the Republicans and the Democrats working together, right? And then we got the voters working with the Democrats. The voters should never not be held to scrutiny because the voters are the people who install those people. Would you guys, if you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. The magnifying glass cannot be taken off of the repetitive, nonsensical actions that the voters take to create detriment for themselves every year. The focus cannot be taken off of that. The focus has to stay on that, like a magnifying glass with the sun burning through it onto an ant. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. You know what I'm saying? It has to be looked at like that. The first line of putting these piss poor politicians in office are the voters. The voters instead want to put these piss poor politicians in office and then say that there's some type of conspiracy while the conspiracy doesn't involve them. But then you can go pull all of these receipts with their names and check boxes on there. That cannot be ignored. That cannot be ignored. First line accountability the crosshair of first line accountability has to be placed on the people that put these people in office. It has to be. If it's not, then it's not an honest assessment of what's going on. You know what I'm saying? So I would agree, right? Now, this is where they're running quality control, right? This is where they're running quality control. We talked about the quality control numbers. The quality control numbers are Lysol ratios, right? You got people voting at Lysol ratios. If you take a Lysol wipe and you rub it across the surface, that same amount of bacteria that Lysol kills will vote for Democrats. Those people congregate in the cities. So now, again, this is where we talk about giving the privilege, right? They got you on quality control. You're voting the same, a monolith, right? You're congregated in the same areas, a monolith, right? So now, let's just say that, there's some other issues outside of the politics. Those issues can easily be disguised as saying, well, you're saying that I'm doing this to a black city, but I'm doing it to a blue city. Who could say that that's true or false? So again, the monolithism and the lack of strategic planning, the lack of strategic thinking is not only opening a doorway for this type of sabotage, right? You've also given the person the way out. And I want people to understand, these are the kinds of thought processes that the people on MSNBC, CNN, and a lot of your favorite content creators on social media have installed into people's brains. These are the kind of thought processes that have been installed into people's brains. And the problem with these type of thought processes is when these kind of thought processes come outside of these type of echo chambers, most of these arguments will be easily diffused. Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that, Deacon Dave. Street interviews on YouTube, they show that we talk about those on Undocumented sometimes. That's just kind of wild what goes on with those. But now here, if you guys would agree with what I'm saying, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree with what I'm saying, give me a thumbs down. Let me ask you guys this. Why should people be afforded leniency who continuously put their hand on the stove? Should sympathy come for the burns that come? I don't understand. No one is putting a gun to any of these people's heads. As a matter of fact, the policies that these people put into place are facilitating people within their own local areas to put guns to their heads, right? But it's not to vote. It's to give up some goods, give up some resources, right? So why is it that when people talk about these type of things, they handle discussing voter idiocy with kid gloves, when actually, if you ask me, they should be either handled with brass knuckles or they should be handled with UFC gloves at the very least. At the very least, UFC gloves. My preference would be brass knuckles. I don't think that anybody, feelings should be preserved as far as these discussions. You know what I'm saying? I think that the issues at hand need to be dealt with first and foremost. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to DC Precise. DC Precise says, only for an infant that does something crazy like that. Funny thing is, it usually takes an infant one time. It only takes an infant one time. Right. So then what do you say about adults that it takes more than one time? Serious problem there, right? Serious problem there. And then the people that are allegedly the thought leaders are going to ignore that serious problem of infantile learning being more efficient than adult learning, right? And try to find every other reason than a first line reason of dealing with the problem. Yeah, and I wouldn't disagree with this. Shout out to Deacon Dave. Deacon Dave says that's why they gather as many ignorant people as they can and tell them to vote, usually blue. If you guys agree with Deacon Dave, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. I wouldn't disagree with that. We see this all the time. Matter of fact, we see it in the messaging, right? No fucking no voting. Vax that ass up. And then people become outraged about it, right? But what people don't understand about the outrage is that they're communicating. Like that's a form of communication. they're communicating with those people because those people communicate back with that. Look at my channels across YouTube. People don't communicate with me. People don't communicate with me because I speak directly and coherently. Direct and coherent speech for a large amount of people is offensive and it's a turnoff. They can't handle it. So they make it cartoon vision. They make it pop-up books. Sometimes we'll sit there, we'll look at these things, and we'll be like, yo, they did this, vax that ass up. You know what I'm saying? They did that, they did that, you know, what is that thing called? What is that? What is the other one that they did? Vax that ass up. Oh, no voting, no fucking, right? They'll do that, right? Now, mind you, as annoying as watching that is and looking at that, those people that are running that quality control, they already know people like us, they're looking at us like we're lost. They're not trying to communicate with us. They already know where we are. They're trying to communicate with them people that Deacon Dave is talking about. And the people that Deacon Dave is talking about, they don't get offended by those type of messages. Those are the messages that will actually get those people out to vote. But those of us who are not being talked to, for whatever reason, we look at that and say, they're talking to us. They're not talking to us. You want to know when those people are talking to us? They're talking to us when people like Tiffany Cross say, you know, all of you people that follow Tariq Nasheed, or all of you people that follow Kevin Samuels, or you black men need to get behind black women and vote the right direction. Remember when Tiffany Cross was saying all that stuff? That's when they're talking to us. Or when the guy on MSNBC says, we don't care about black male votes anyway, we can get other votes. That's when they're talking to us. They're not talking to us with the vax your ass up and all that. They got people on quality control so that reflex reaction supersedes critical thought. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. When they say, you know, disinformation groups like quote unquote Blacks for Trump, ADOS, FBA, right? When Joy Reid comes on there and she has a flow chart that says things like that, that's when they're talking to us. Or yeah, somebody like shout out to DC Precise. Yeah, DC Precise said, or like TD, they call you a Russian bot. Yeah. Yeah. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. And so this is what I'm talking about the quality control element. When I say that people don't like it, but when I say that they got people on quality control, they got you on quality control. They got you on quality control as far as political propaganda. They got you on quality control as far as being able to assume what type of reaction you'll have. They have the probability, the variance, and the standard deviation of how you will react to a given situation down to a science, down to a process. And it seems like it works very often. It seems like it works very often. When we look at these type of situations, is crazy. We're talking about politicians, and the last thing that most people think about as far as how to deal with these type of things is voting. Shout out to DC Precise. DC Precise says, I'm sure you saw Billary wants to make Russian talking points a crime. Who's that for? Yeah, and what are Russian talking points? None of us, I don't think, speak Russian. I know one word in Russian, privyet. You know what I'm saying? Actually, I know a couple words in Russian. I can't even lie. You got and that's because they're kind of similar over there. You know what I'm saying? You got privyet, You got what is it, Dobra Dan? I think they say a couple things. Some of the words are similar over in that part of the world. But yeah, I know like 3 words in Russian, maybe 4. Maybe kava might mean coffee, right? So what are Russian talk? I don't know what Russian talking points are. You know what I'm saying? But that's what they'll say though. And then they can say these things and it'll be it's they don't have to be subject to a fact check. What I find interesting is that, shout out to Kirk, what's good with it, bro? The way that debate went is funny. It's the same way that the media goes. Only one side has to be subject to a fact check. Shout out to DC Precise. DC Precise says the article that I read said pro-Trump propaganda. Now, you guys know I don't support Trump, right? But a lot of his policies make more sense than Kamala Harris. That's all that should matter. If you compared whose policies will improve your situation on a daily basis versus whose could possibly cause detriment, I don't know how somebody can complain about what's going on in Chicago, how somebody could complain about what's going on in New York, how somebody could complain about the southern border and then turn around and say, well, I'm voting for Kamala Harris. It doesn't make any sense. At that point, if you ask me, exit the conversation. You're not going to make a difference with that person. It's not even worth talking to. This is somebody that'll say, I'm going to lick my finger and then stick it in the electric socket, and I don't understand why there's an electrical current running through my body. That type of person can't be salvaged, and it's not your job to salvage them. So why waste time with it? This is where you got to turn on that artificial intelligence thinking. Okay, well, you know, just let what happens happen and keep pushing, right? If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down.
Of no power, and that could go on for some time. Rescue and recovery efforts are underway. Officials issued flash flood warnings this morning from Atlanta up to the Western Carolinas. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis with this when he spoke just a few minutes ago.
We saw storm surge.
We're going to skip past this. Let's see, hold on. See, I hate when they do this. Okay, here we go. This is where we need to be at right here. Borders are 3 years and 2 visits. All right.
Important state in this election. Most recent polling shows President Trump up by 3 in Arizona. Your take on her visit there today and what you think is behind it politically.
Now, let me ask you guys this question. According to this poll, right? According to this poll, Trump is up by 3 in Arizona. Let me ask you guys this question. Why is Trump up by 3 in Arizona? And let me ask you guys this. Does Arizona have a Democrat governor or do they have a Republican governor? Let me know in the comment section. And shout out to everybody that's watching. I really appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed the like button yet, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. We way off the 1-to-1. We got 16 people watching and we got 26 likes. To get back to the 1-to-1, we got to get 10 more people watching. So make sure you guys smash the like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell and subscribed, hit the bell and subscribe. And also please share the stream to your social media.
Well, what has she been doing for the last 3.5 years? She's the border czar. So if she's acting like she cares about the 76,000 people died of fentanyl last year, one of every 44 Americans was subject to a violent crime in 2023. So somehow now she cares. If she cared, she would have been at the border before. And if she cared, she'd be in Florida right now, making sure all the federal resources are here right now. But
now I'm going to tell you guys something, right? I'm going to give you guys a little insight to people's behaviors on YouTube, right? People will listen, right? They'll tune in and they'll listen to this type of content, right? And what happens is that you got a lot of these type of people. They cannot handle the critique of Kamala Harris, right? Now, mind you, right? I critique Trump. I critique most of these politicians because, to be honest, I don't like any of them, right? But you'll notice a special type of sensitivity when it comes to a harsh critique of Kamala Harris. Many people cannot handle it People can't handle critique of voting behaviors. They can't handle it. My question for you guys is, why is that? And do you all think that those are part of the quality control initiatives? I think that they are. Just in the time that I've been YouTubing, I can easily, for the most part, gauge people's behavior. Now, if it hasn't taken me that long to figure out how people move versus how they don't move, look at the Democrats. Shout out to Mr. J. Kamala will be live in Vegas in 1 hour. You think is she going to gamble or no? I wonder what she's going to talk about in Vegas. I don't even want to know. You know what I'm saying? But think about it. See, because this is what we talk about the inefficiency of human emotion, right? And now, like we talked about yesterday, right? Because we had a brief discussion about the emotion and the logic. I don't think that there's anything wrong with emotion, but there is an issue with emotion when emotion causes inefficiency. And the problem with the human brain is that emotion, in many cases, hinders efficiency. And when I say hinders efficiency, if logic is a function of cognitive processing, emotion deteriorating the amount of logic, that's an inefficiency. And if you pay very close attention, people efficiently are on quality control, voting in one direction, while inefficiently using logic to figure out what it is that they're doing wrong. And then once they figure it out, they continue to do the wrong thing because of what somebody somewhere told them, or because somebody told you, you know, if these people say 1 + 1 = 2, it doesn't equal 2. I disagree with that. And then what's interesting about it is that all of those people for years, right? For years, all of those people for years who brag about all the years that they got in, all those people for years have been saying, well, if this person says 1 + 1 = 2, then for you, it doesn't equal 1 + 1 = 2. Now they're saying 1 + 1 = 2. These people have it right. Which one is it? Which one is it? These people are police. These people go around and try to coon shame people so that you don't have your own independent thoughts. As you guys know, I'm all about autonomy, right? I might have disagreement. Like me and Jay Lord, we didn't agree on certain things. That's fine. You know what I'm saying? Me and Deacon Dave, we don't agree on everything. That's fine. Shout out to Patrick. Me and Patrick don't agree all the time. That's fine. We don't agree all the time. Me and TD don't agree on anything, right? That's fine. I respect people's autonomy, and I respect people's ability to think and come up with logical solutions and logical conclusions. And even if I don't agree with you, I'll respect you. You know what I'm saying? I respect you. Those people have taught people to not disrespect or to not respect you. Those people have taught people to cancel other people out because of the way that they think, while teaching people to not think at all. They've taught people to use an inflexible nomogram to where you have predetermined solutions based on a given event or situation, and you're not able to move outside of those parameters. And that's why these people train people to be shut down easily in debates and to look stupid anytime they leave from outside of their echo chamber. It never fails. People that huddle in an echo chamber, when you see all the same people all the time, it's the same thing, like I like to say about the Big Ten. When they leave the Big Ten, they get smashed. Ohio State leave out of the Big Ten, they get crushed. Ohio 10 face a Pac-10 team, they get crushed. All these echo chambers are the Big Ten. You leave outside the Big Ten, you're getting crushed. I stay outside of an echo chamber. You know what I'm saying? I don't like echo chambers. I don't think I think that echo chambers, there's a echo chamber to cult pipeline, and the echo chamber to cult pipeline connects through a catalyst of groupthink. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down.
Story that's going on today, Senator, and that is Vice President Harris's visit to the border. Arizona, obviously, a very important state in this election. Most recent polling shows President Trump up by 3 in Arizona. Your take on her visit there today and what you think is behind it politically?
Well, what has she been doing for the last 3.5 years? She's the border czar. So if she's acting like she cares about the 76,000 people died of fentanyl last year, one of every 44 Americans was subject to a violent crime in 2023. So somehow now she cares. If she cared, she would have been at the border before. And if she cared, she'd be in Florida right now, making sure all the federal resources are here right now. But all she wants to do is win an election. She doesn't care about American citizens. She just wants to win an election. This is just a photo op to act like she cares.
Let's take a look at some of what she has said over the course of her vice presidency on this issue.
I'm not going to vote.
All right, now here goes the receipts, right? So now let's listen to the receipts. And now my question for you guys is, as we listen to the receipts, right? As we listen to the receipts, we got to ask ourselves this question. Should she be held to these, or has she convinced anybody that she's going to do anything different? Now, remember, right? Part of her not releasing her plans, or part of her being vague about her plans, that's a part of her plan. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down.
I'm not going to vote for a wall under any circumstances. This issue is about a vanity project for this president. Right. And I think there's no question that we've got to critically re-examine ICE and its role and the way that it is being administered and the work it is doing. We're not going to treat people who are undocumented across the border as criminals. On the subject of transnational gangs, let's be perfectly clear. The president's medieval vanity project is not going to stop them. We are going to the border. We've been to the border. So this whole thing about the border, we've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe.
I mean, that right there in itself, that if you look, I'm gonna listen, hold on real quick.
We are going to the border. We've been to the border. So this whole thing about the border, we've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe.
This right here, this right here, this is indicative. This is indicative in the exact same type of response, the exact same type of behavior, the exact same. This is the exact same. This is relatability. This here, what she just did, this is literally the people that vote for her. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. If anybody is ever confused about the type of people that vote for Kamala Harris, it's people that communicate just like that. And that's one of the reasons why those people are insalvageable.
We are going to the border. We've been to the border. So this whole thing about the border, we've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe.
How do you salvage somebody like that? How do you salvage somebody like that? How do you fix somebody that's non-communicable? Somebody explain it to me. You guys know I'm extremely open-minded. I'm extremely, lenient, right? Until I'm not, right? If anybody could come up with a suggestion on how to save these type of people, I'm all for it. But how do you do it is my question. How many people have talked, or how many people have spoken or tried to communicate with somebody that communicates like this? How do you do it? I mean, she just literally sat up there and just unapologetically lied. I'm just going to unapologetically lie to your face, and it is what it is, and you're going to accept it. These are the voters. She literally just she must have got possessed by a spirit of one of her voters. Because that's how that's literally how her voters rationalize things. Even people that don't vote for her, even some people that don't support Kamala Harris, that's the echo chamber behavior as well. And what people need, this is what people need to see. Now, I want to ask people, right? Is there anybody out here that we could find some video clips, or we could find any instances of people in the comment section doing this exact same thing? You know, I look at this. This right. Imagine. Look, check this out. Right. Imagine people with this brain that causes this type of, output, all clustered into these particular areas. This is how they got the quality control ran. This is why you get the same politicians, same policy all the time. And then this literally, I don't like how the area that I live in looks. You voted for the politicians that maintain the area. I didn't make the area like that. You did, actually. You did. Shout out to Cindy. Cindy said she's unapologetically lied these last few years about Biden's cognitive decline. Yeah, she lied about it so much that they've put it into the media and tried to say that it was misinformation. Now she's talking about he's so sharp and intelligent, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, facts. If you guys agree with Cindy, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. Yeah. She talks like her voters. Even people that don't vote for her, she talks like them. There's no repercussion for just sitting up here telling a bold-faced lie and then looking at the person that's asking you the questions like they're crazy. You're crazy. You just said that you went to the border and then just said that you didn't go to the border. Like, what?
Let's be perfectly clear. The president's medieval vanity project is not going to stop them. We are going to the border. We've been to the border.
We're going to the border. We've been to the border.
So this whole thing about the border, we've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe.
What is that? I mean, there you go. So let me ask you guys this. How do you deal with somebody like this? You literally would. That's what I said, the quality control. Shout out to Patrick. Patrick says, Rob, it's a joke, but you would literally need Cerebro from X-Men. It's funny if it wasn't so sad when you really look at it. Yeah. Bro, I'm with you 110%. 110%. Yeah, you really would need like a Cerebro, you know what I'm saying, from X-Men. You know what I'm saying? Or some Dark Phoenix powers or something. I mean, this in itself should be a disqualifier.
We are going to the border. We've been to the border. So this whole thing about the border, we've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe.
How does that add up with where she is now?
Now, here's my thing, right? Like, I'm going to just sit back and ask somebody, okay, justify this. Justify that. How do you justify that? That's okay. How does that help anybody? I should vote for this person because this person did what? That? That's helpful for who? How? Nobody will ever, nobody, the people who are programmed, they won't answer those questions. The same way that Kamala Harris didn't answer the questions. What those people will then do is that's when the simping and the shaming starts. That's when the simping and the shaming starts. And usually things kind of get out of hand if you're not dealing with a shame-sensitive person. The only problem is that a large percentage of people are shame-sensitive. But if you're not dealing with a shame-sensitive person, you're not going to stop a shame-sensitive person with shaming. They're just going to continue to steamroll on. They're going to keep asking the questions. Okay, that's fine. I need to still know. People should look at all of these. Just look at these. Reverse engineer where you are today and how you got there, and ask yourself each element that you've reverse engineered. How has it helped? How has it harmed? If it's harmed, get rid of it.
I expect she's going to talk about former President Trump not being supportive of the border bill that was in Congress, and he made clear today his reasons for that. But your thoughts?
Well, she doesn't care about Americans. I mean, she doesn't care about our safety. She doesn't care about transnational gangs coming in here and taking over our apartment complexes. She doesn't care about the young women who are being raped like Lincoln Riley and killed. She doesn't care about the 76,000 people who died of fentanyl. She doesn't care enough about Florida to get her butt down.
I gotta agree. Shout out to Carla, right? Carla says it's good to have a good comeback, but it should be logical and critically thought out, not just a smart blank comeback. Yeah, I agree. Now, when it comes to quote unquote a lot of echo chambers, I don't know if it's amateur comedy night at most of these places or what, but even the comedy's not that good if you ask me. It's not, a lot of these people are not funny. You know what I'm saying? But it seems like what's more valued is a cheap laugh or a joke instead of actually hitting the target with facts. And I got a little secret to tell people. Only people that are not going to be able to make any type of change, or only people that don't have the ability to implement things that you want, those are the only people that appreciate that and find that funny. And then there's large numbers of them. You know what I'm saying? Large numbers of them. Small numbers of people who do have the type of power and ability to make changes. Most people care about hitting the target with facts. And this is why you will see the deflection to a joke, or the deflection to a funny, or the deflection to a name, or the deflection to some, I guess what many people would think would be like a crafty slogan or something like that. Yeah, I mean, you know, like it's cool, but it doesn't win any battles. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't win any battles. Let me ask you guys this. Out of all the funny people that you know, how many, what spoils of war do they have on their mantle from their funnies? They might have entertained a bunch of people, hee hee, ha ha, right? Everybody likes to be entertained. But at the end of the day, how many heads do they have on the shelf? And the reason why they don't have any heads on the shelf, for one, is because they can't, right? And the other reason is because the people that they're entertaining, those people don't really want any heads on the shelf. They just talk tough, but they're not. You know what I'm saying?
Down here and say she's going to make sure the federal government is a partner in what's going on right now in our state. So she wants to simply win an election, but she doesn't care about you as an American citizen.
Strong words. Have you spoken with President Biden about the situation in Florida? And have you reached out to the vice president to get help?
So I've talked to all the cabinet officers in Florida. I've talked to sheriffs all across their state. I've talked to the FEMA director, the regional director for FEMA, the SBA. I've talked to all the federal agencies that can have an impact.
But would you expect to have spoken to President Biden as this was slamming into Florida, or he spoke to the governor? I don't know if the governor said if they had spoken.
So Martha, just remember, here's my experience with Obama and with Biden. They don't return my phone call. The first time I called the White House when Biden took office, they hung up on me. All right. They don't reach out. They never return my phone calls. Every time I've asked for a meeting with Biden, he's turned me down. So Harris is, I mean, it's fascinating how they act.
Senator, thank you very much. Senator Rick Scott. And we're thinking about everybody in your state. So be well. Thank you, sir.
All right. So there's that. All right. And real quick, shout out to my man, Patrick Tyler, for starting it out, being the first stream sponsor. Make sure y'all show Patrick some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for my man, Patrick, for funding the organization. Definitely appreciate it, bro.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the marching times.
Cash rules everything around me. Cream, get the money. Dollar bill, yo.
Shout out to Patrick Tyler. Patrick Tyler says, Rob, we are monolithic when it comes to voting. What do you say about white liberals? Because they vote the same way. People rarely change politically. I would actually disagree with that about the white liberals voting the same way. And we can see evidence of that through the Teamsters. We can also see evidence of that through RFK, right? We can see evidence of that through Tulsi Gabbard supporters. We can see evidence of that through Bernie Sanders and, you know, other progressives, right? So I would kind of disagree. We actually have candidates on the ballot, candidates who ran this year on a reparations platform, and literally nobody put any type of emphasis on them. But reparations is allegedly a #1 issue, but nobody put any emphasis on any of those candidates. I would say that there's opposition monolith, right? Opposition monolithism, and there's acceptance monolithism. You have to hate the same people and you have to support the same people. Even if you have somebody that's talking exactly how you want to talk, they don't even get paid attention to. Now, the Teamsters, right? They're not endorsing any candidate, but the Teamsters have historically always been monolithic, right? They've monolithically voted for Democrats, but then this year they didn't. They're not still at 83%. They're not still at 90%. They're at 0% endorsement. And here's my thing, right? I don't think that the voting behaviors or patterns of other people should be a gauge as to how we vote. I believe that effectiveness and efficiency should be a gauge of how we vote. So here's the thing, right? If being a monolith creates effective and efficient voting, I wouldn't say anything negative about the monolith, right? But the monolith has not done that. The monolith has not created effective and efficient anything except for effective and efficient shutting down of brain cells and destruction of places where a lot of people live. Would you guys agree? If you guys would agree with that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. A shout out to Patrick again. Patrick says, yeah, I thought about that, but how is it the same states keep going blue than like a Cali or Massachusetts or New York? Now, what those things kind of shift, right? And it takes periods of time. So I think that what people would look at or look for is a trending direction. There was a long time when Ohio used to be a swing state. Ohio used to be a battleground state. It's not anymore. It's been red for a while now. You know what I'm saying? I don't mind Ohio being red. You know what I'm saying? But that took a while. It took a long time. I remember when Ohio, how many people remember back in the day when it used to be Ohio and Florida determined the presidential election? Do you guys remember that? If you guys look at some old news clips of like back when Bill Clinton was running for president, back when the Bushes were running for president, it was all about Ohio and Florida. Not anymore. Florida and Ohio are both red now. And they've been, and I don't think that they're not going to change. They're not going back on being red anymore. At least for now. You know what I'm saying? So these kind of things in most cases, unless like there's some type of just existential event, probably are not going to change overnight. Now, shout out to Patrick. Patrick says we can say they woke up, but faster than us. I don't know. I don't know if I would necessarily say that. I don't know if I would necessarily say that. I don't know if I necessarily believe. I don't know if I necessarily believe that there's an issue of anyone being asleep or anyone being not aware. Now here's the thing, right? I don't believe that people who conduct themselves in a manner of knowing more than other people should ever be afforded the luxury of people saying that they're asleep. To me, if you're a know-it-all, you never get to use the excuse of not knowing. Would you guys, if you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. That kind of defeats the purpose, right? So if I know everything and I know more than everybody, and then somebody says, "Well, why'd you do this?" and I say, "I don't know." I don't think that to me, that should be immediately negated. That should be immediately negated. It should be immediately focused on. It should be immediately pounced on, nullified, not allowed. I don't think it's an issue with quote unquote anyone waking up. I think that what people need to accept is that people are doing these things on purpose, and that there's a cognitive negligence and a life negligence that people are doing simply on the basis of because they have the ability to do it. And the negative reinforcement is not harsh enough to make the behavior change. That's what I believe. Shout out to Patrick. Patrick says, is Ohio red because those white liberals changed, or is it because the black vote isn't showing up? A lot of these states in the Rust Belt that go blue is due to the black vote. I don't know. I think it's because Ohio, for the most part, is kind of split. Ohio was a purple state for a long time. At least, like, I don't know about the rest of the Rust Belt because I don't live there, but Ohio, for the most part, was split. It was purple for a very long time. Like, they used to call Ohio a purple state. And I think the reason why is because, a certain group of voters, a large majority of a certain group of voters live in the metropolitan areas, and the rest of the state, for the most part, is rural areas, and it's a larger landmass, but a smaller nominal population, right? So it kind of ends up being 51-49, 49-51 type thing. But I think, honestly, what I think is happening is I think that people are seeing how detrimental a lot of these Democrat policies are. And if you pay attention, the Democrats have actually slowly been losing support since the 1980s. So with that erosion of support and already being a purple state, I think that's kind of what pushed Ohio over the edge. And then, not to mention, a lot of the Democrat policies are what sank the Rust Belt. I mean, people literally, like, people always talk about their own demise, but like voting for Democrats, that's what destroyed the steel industry, and that's what destroyed the automotive industry and all of the manufacturing. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have legacy families, like where the father, grandfather, where the grandfather, the great grandfather, the son, they all worked at the same plant, all voted for Democrat, and are all mad now that the plant packed up and moved out. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot of this stuff just doesn't doesn't add up. It doesn't make any sense. And the thing is that it does make sense, right? Like, we know why these things happen, right? But there is a culture of not dealing with root cause issues that is not addressed. And if you ask me, that in itself needs to be addressed. That has to be addressed. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Patrick Tyler. Patrick Tyler says, I know when Obama won Ohio in 2008, he had a lot of the white vote. Then in 2012, he lost a chunk of the white vote, but still won because 200K more black voters showed up than in 2008. Now, check this out, right? 200,000 more showed up in 2008, and 200,000 people are asking what's going on politically and why are things the way that they are and what happened during the Obama era, and they voted for him. You know what I'm saying? Think about that. How just insane that is. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about that. I want to ask people this question. What if that conversation that Kamala Harris was having with Lester Holt? Imagine if she had that conversation in a psychologist's office or in a psychiatrist's office with a counselor present. What do you think they would have said about her? She got away with it because it was a television interview, which is crazy because there's more eyes on her, right, than just what would go on in a doctor's visit. Shout out to Miss Nisi. What's good with it, Miss Nisi? But imagine if she had sat down and said that in a psychologist's office. What would the psychologist have to say? Yeah. Shout out to Kurt. Shout out to Carla for being a bot enforcer. I appreciate you. Kurt said that's why. Wow, basically 90% of my family, they don't even know what they voted for. Yeah. And then when discussing these things, we'll never talk about it in terms of, I don't know, I voted incorrectly, or I was wrong politically. Think about that. That thought never, it automatically defaults to it's a conspiracy theory, it's XYZ. Never comes to, well, I need to pay attention to the issues more. You know what I'm saying? It's wild. It's wild. Look at this, right? Now, check this out. And this is what I'm talking about right here. Now, everybody knows about the Nancy Mace situation, right? I'm going to do a whole stream about this, right? But everybody knows about the Nancy Mace situation, right? With what's his name? Michael Eric Dyson. Michael Eric Dyson was a simp. You know what I'm saying? Michael Eric Dyson ain't got no game. Michael Eric Dyson is your typical PBC. You know what I'm saying? Now, here's the interesting thing about it, right? I saw a lot of commentary. Hold on. Let me find this real quick. Disgrace. Dang. I had that. Hold on real quick. I'm going to have to find it now. I thought this thing kept the closed ones up here. Let's see. All right, hold on, real. Damn, I ain't gonna be. You know what? Let me see. Hold on. Real quick, y'all. If y'all haven't smashed that like button, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell. And also, please share the stream to your social media. I'm going to try something real quick. Hold on. Damn, I got too many damn tabs open. Let me see. Hold on real quick. You know what? I got it. Watch this. Watch this. Hold on. This is annoying as hell. Hold on. Let me see. Give me 2 seconds. This is why. See, anytime I go off script, I always mess something up. Let me see. Hold on. Recently closed. New tab. You know what? We're just going to have to get rid of that. All right. Here, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to play this, and I'm going to try to get this up while I'm playing this. This right here is a video from NBC with Senator Mark Kelly defending Kamala Harris's border plan. Now, shout out to Mark Kelly, right? Because he knows what Kamala Harris's border plan is. I don't think anybody else does. I don't think anybody else does. So maybe we'll find out what it is through this.
And joining me now is Democratic Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona. Senator Kelly, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Thank you for having me on, Kristen.
It's great to have you back. I do want to start with the Middle East, the death of Hezbollah's leader, Hassan Nasrallah. You just heard me discussing this with Senator Marco Rubio. Are you bracing for Iran to retaliate?
Well, I think the IDF sent a powerful message to Hezbollah, and I was listening to what Senator Rubio had said, and I couldn't agree with him more. I mean, Israel needs to get its population back, to the the northern border, and this has been a really challenging situation that they've been faced with, and they've got to do something about it. It's good Nasrallah is dead. He's a terrorist. He's killed so many innocent people, and that needs to be addressed, and it has been addressed. And The Iranians, they're involved in this already through the Houthis and their other proxies and through Hezbollah. So I think the message has been sent, and my hope is that there is not further conflict in the northern part of Israel.
I want to talk to you about big picture a little bit, Senator, the way in which Israel has been conducting this war. You and I discussed this back in May, and here's what you told me.
They have to do a better job. I want to see some changes here, and I've talked to the ambassador, the Israeli ambassador, Michael Herzog, about this specifically, that if we don't see some changes, I think it is appropriate to put conditions on some of this aid.
So you told me there, Senator, Israel has to do a better job. Have they, since you first told me that back in May?
Well, we continue to have this discussion with the Israelis. I talked to Israeli leadership about this and have made it very clear to them that the type of weapons they use and where they use them, it matters, and it matters a lot. This is a dense urban environment.
All right, so check this out. I found it, right? Let me see something. All right, so there's two, right? There's two videos that we're gonna look at. All right. Now this is what I'm bringing this to you guys' attention to prove a point. All right. So now let me ask y'all this. So everybody heard about the Michael Eric Dyson thing, right? Wait a minute. What the fuck? Hold on real quick. Oh, okay. That's what happened. Okay. So everybody heard about the Michael Eric Dyson thing with Nancy Mace, right? But what else has anybody heard? Now, there's things that took place like before that Michael Eric Dyson thing nobody cared about. Here's my question. Why did nobody care about that? The only time that she's brought up, like, she's hot in the algorithm now, and you know what I'm saying, like, people are talking about her and stuff like that because of a little debacle with Michael Eric Dyson, right? And honestly, like, there's a whole discussion about that, right? But not for the content. So here's something that happened 10 days ago. Representative Nancy Mace sparks outrage with H.R. 7909, violence against women by illegal aliens on House floor. What's crazy about this is that this sparked outrage. This sparked outrage. What's interesting about it, though, is that, like, not very many people were talking about this. A lot of people was talking about the DMs between her and Michael Eric Dyson. Now check this out, right? Mind you, the very people that were talking about the DMs between her and Michael Eric Dyson, which actually was more of Michael Eric Dyson being a simp, those are the very people that say, well, whatever. We're not focused on what people do. You are focused on what people do. You know what I'm saying? You are. But you're not focused on what they do in regards to the initiatives that people claim that they care about. The people who have the biggest issue with immigration, who are a lot of the same people who have been roasting Michael Eric Dyson all week, literally have never talked about anything that Nancy Mace has said about immigration. If that doesn't show you mixed up, backwards, and upside down priorities, I don't know what is. But luckily, we're going to talk about it.
The gentleman from South Carolina is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. I want to thank Chairman Jim Jordan for his leadership. I find the debate on my bill, the Violence Against Women by Illegal Aliens Act today, I find the debate shameful. I myself am a survivor of rape. I understand the lifelong trauma as someone who has survived rape, as someone who's been in a domestic violence situation where I was also the victim. I don't want to hear it. If you're here illegally at all, you should be gone. But today we're only dealing with a very limited.
Now, what's interesting about it is, like, I've seen these discussions very interestingly, and I sit back and watch them. But she's saying the same things as a lot of the people say that did the content about her and Michael Eric Dyson. But they didn't mention this, though. You know what I'm saying? They're more concerned about, and they're more entertained by and more interested in, how she put Michael Eric Dyson on blast, which Michael Eric Dyson does. He don't need Nancy Mace to put him on blast. He always puts himself on blast. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to New York State of Mind. What's good with it, bro? But this is the position on illegal immigration here. Now, I want to ask you guys, right? How many people agree with her position on illegal immigration? If you guys agree with her position on illegal immigration, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree with her position on illegal immigration, give me a thumbs down. Here's a better question. Let's compare positions on illegal immigration. Who do you see yourself more ideologically aligned with on illegal immigration? Nancy Mace or Michael the Simp Eric Dyson? That's my question for you guys.
The gentleman from South Carolina is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. I want to thank Chairman Jim Jordan for his leadership. I find the debate on my bill, the Violence Against Women by Illegal Aliens Act today, I find the debate shameful. I myself am a survivor of rape. I understand the lifelong trauma as someone who has survived rape, as someone who's been in a domestic violence situation where I was also the victim. I don't want to hear it. If you're here illegally at all, you should be gone. But today, we're only dealing with a very limited number of issues, meaning the worst of the worst, the illegal aliens who are here, the criminal illegal aliens who are here illegally committing some of the worst crimes against women and underage girls. Joe Biden and border czar Kamala Harris have opened the floodgates, welcoming countless criminal illegal aliens into our country to prey upon American women and American girls. Thanks to the policies of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, these criminal illegal aliens who have no business, they have no right to step foot into our country, now roam the streets of our communities, inflicting senseless acts of sexual and domestic violence and murder. While they
shout out to Kurt. Kurt put the bunny icons in the chat. Hey, at least you agree with her position, right? At least you agree with her position. Michael Eric Dyson don't even agree with her position. They're not even ideologically aligned at all. And Michael Eric Dyson was trying to dive headfirst into the inbox. They ain't even got nothing in common. They don't even, you know what I'm saying? At least you agree with what she's saying. You know what I'm saying? Michael Eric Dyson just trying to dive into the inbox. Like, I just literally just dive into the inbox. What Kendrick Lamar? Let me, you know what I'm saying? Let me dive. How they go? Let me dive in this splash or something like that. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So again, here go the thing, right? Here go the thing. There are people that are not going. They're gonna find. They're gonna find something not correct about what she's saying right here, right? You're gonna find something that she's saying not correct right here and say, I don't agree with what she's saying. But literally have an entire content library of saying the exact same thing that she's saying. It doesn't make it doesn't make any sense. I don't understand it. You know what I'm saying?
They hurt American women and girls. These Biden-Harris
and honestly, I'm gonna tell you guys something. Weaponized content. The reason, listen, the reason why. Yes, swimming pool splash. Ain't that it, Brooklyn Queen? How that liquor? I forgot how that song go. That you know what I'm talking about though. That Kendrick Lamar song. Listen. I'm gonna tell you guys something, right? Not everybody, right? But a lot of the people that flooded the, online with the Michael Eric Dyson Nancy Mace content, they flooded the internet with that content to take away from the fact that they're saying the same things that she says, because they for whatever reason, I don't know what it is, I don't know, but they don't want, even though you could just look this stuff up, they don't want to be seen as saying the same thing that she said. So that we don't have to be seen saying the same thing that we said, we're going to opportunize and take Michael Eric Dyson being a simp and make that the focus of the Nancy Mace discussion. These people think that they're so smart. They're not. They're not. Just so y'all know. You know what I'm saying? They're not.
Illegal aliens have molested American children, battered and bruised American spouses, and violently raped American women and girls. In April 2022, an illegal alien was arrested in my home state of South Carolina for sexually abusing an 11-year-old girl after being previously deported not once, but twice. In May 2022, an illegal alien and Guatemalan national raped and impregnated a 9-year-old girl in Ohio.
Yeah,
in April 2023, an illegal
full of liquor, then you dive in it. Yeah, that's it. First you DM Nancy Mason, then you dive in it. That's what that's what Michael Eric Dyson was saying. First you DM Nancy Mason, then you dive in it. And Nancy Mason said, "Ew, I'm about to tell everybody."
Alien broke into a woman's house in Indiana in the middle of the night, physically assaulted her, and held a box cutter to her throat while he raped her. In July 2023, an illegal alien and Honduran national raped a 13-year-old girl in neighboring Virginia, just 25 miles from where we stand today. In March of this year, an illegal alien followed a woman from the—
Shout out to everybody that's watching. I appreciate you guys. If you guys haven't smashed the like button, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys have not hit the bell, please take a moment, hit the bell, and subscribe to the channel. And if you have not shared the stream to your social media, please help me out. Share the stream to your social media.
the train station, grabbed her, robbed her, and sexually assaulted her. On March 25th of this year, an illegal alien was arrested and charged with raping a mentally incapacitated 14-year-old girl in Alabama. On May 13th of this year, a serial—
Now, let me. How many people have heard of any of these crimes that she's talking about here? If you guys have heard about any of these crimes that she's talking about here, give me a thumbs up. If you guys have not heard about any of these crimes that she's talking about here, then give me a thumbs down.
Serial rapist, illegal alien, was arrested in California for raping 2 women in a van, which authorities referred to as his rape dungeon on wheels. In April of this year, an illegal alien was charged after breaking into a mobile home in Michigan and viciously sexually assaulting 2 young girls under the age of 13. In May of this year, an illegal alien abducted an 11-year-old girl in Florida, forcing her into his van, brutally raping her. In June 17th of this year, 2 illegal aliens raped and strangled 12-year-old Jocelyn Nungarai in Texas. Just last month, an illegal alien was arrested after raping a 10-year-old boy in Mississippi. Earlier this month, an illegal alien convicted of a violent assault in Massachusetts was released and went on to rape a child. This is hardly an exhaustive list. We see more tragedies like these with every passing week. The blood and the physical and emotional scars of these tragedies rest on the hands of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Now, not only has the Biden-Harris administration caused this problem, they're actively enabling it. Listen to this.
Now, again, what she just said right there, how many people would agree with that? If you guys agree with that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down.
In September of 2021, a memo, Secretary Mayorkas specifically argued domestic violence shouldn't be categorical grounds to apprehend and remove an illegal alien.
I'm going to run that back. Now, let me ask you guys this question. Why are people voting for this stuff? And people are simply, I don't agree with that because she said it. I'm going to try to drown out all of this stuff that happened in the last 10 days with videos about her and Michael Eric Dyson. To me, I don't. To me, again, when you try to deflect away from certain information, it says a lot. If you ask me, you know what I'm saying? Kurt got me dying. Kurt got me dying. You know what I'm saying?
Listen to this. In September of 2021, a memo, Secretary Mayorkas specifically argued domestic violence shouldn't be categorical grounds to apprehend and remove an illegal alien.
Why not? You can apprehend and remove a you know what I'm saying, a American and put him in a jail because of domestic violence. Why should you not be able to apprehend and remove an alien that committed domestic violence? If that makes sense, give me a thumbs up. If it doesn't make any sense, give me a thumbs down.
Specifically argued domestic violence shouldn't be categorical grounds to apprehend and remove an illegal alien. How many American women and girls have been battered and bloodied due to this insanity? Under my bill, any illegal alien who commits a sex crime or act of domestic violence is inadmissible to our country and immediately deportable. We shouldn't let them into our country under any circumstances, and if we catch them, we send them back. They have got to go. As a survivor of rape, I know firsthand the devastating toll these heinous acts can take on a woman, the lifelong scars, the lifelong trauma that they leave behind. One woman or one child violated by an illegal alien is one too many. Each and every time sex crime or act of domestic violence committed by an illegal alien was preventable. They have no single right to be here today. I urge my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to put politics aside and protect American women and children from being victimized by criminal illegal aliens. Thank you, and I yield back.
Why did that cause outrage? You know what I'm saying? Like, why did that cause outrage? So we're gonna look at this real quick, and then, like I said, I'm gonna do a live stream about this because there's a little bit more to it, right? But there's this incident that took place in South Carolina. How many people heard about it? If you guys heard about this sanctuary sheriff in South Carolina, give me a thumbs up. If you guys didn't, give me a thumbs down. So now, while YouTube was fascinated with the hanky-panky because YouTube is sexually obsessed, while YouTube was sexually obsessed with, what was going on in the inboxes of Nancy Mace and Michael Eric Dyson, this is what they left out as far as the content. They left out that first thing, right? And then they left this out.
Mr. Chairman, and talking about extraordinary foolish, I know that was said earlier by one of our witnesses. It's not just cities, it's counties too. I've been nuking Charleston County Sheriff over the last 24 hours over her lies about the illegals that are in South Carolina, her lies about releasing them into our state and that sort of thing. And when you're talking about New York, Mr. Biggs, if you talk to an NYPD officer, they'll tell you they're not charging these illegals with crimes. And then when they do, they're released and they're not given a bail or bond when they go out. And so the left, it's just all one big lie, and it's not right to the American people. And the statistic that crime is down for migrants. Every illegal who is here illegally entered our country illegally. They literally committed a crime on the way in.
This should tell you about the priorities of what people, you know what I'm saying? This should tell you about the YouTube priorities. This will tell you about the YouTube priorities. Most people have had no introduction to like anything that she said at all, except for, you know what I'm saying, the Michael Eric Dyson stuff. But again, the very same people who found that so fascinating literally mirror her talking points, but will never admit that they mirror her talking points, but out of bravado, I don't know, machismo, some type of false, phony sense of pride that doesn't exist. But these are the facts. This is the reality. This is the reality. You know what I'm saying? Not one mention of any of this. All mentions about reality TV. The same people that do the reality TV, The same people that sit there and say the Democrats talk to you like you crazy because of no vote and no fucking. Instead of doing a reaction video or a review of this stuff right here, they're going to tell you about the reality TV stuff with Michael Eric Dyson married. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Mr. Chairman, and talking about extraordinary foolish, I know that was said earlier by one of our witnesses. It's not just cities, it's counties too. I've been nuking Charleston County Sheriff over the last 24 hours over her lies about the illegals that are in South Carolina, her lies about releasing them into our state, and that sort of thing. And when you're
shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Brooklyn Queen said, Nancy, are you ghost watching? I don't think Nancy has been ghost watching. And the reason why I don't think Nancy has been ghost watching is because I haven't seen anyone talk about this Charleston County Sheriff that she's about to talk about. I want to ask again, how many people have heard about this Charleston County Sheriff, this sanctuary sheriff? If you guys have heard about the sanctuary sheriff, give me a thumbs up. If you guys have not, give me a thumbs down. Now, because she's specifically talking about the sanctuary sheriff, I think she got her own thing going on. You know what I'm saying? All right, Miss Niecy, get you some sleep.
About the illegals that are in South Carolina, her lies about releasing them into our state, and that sort of thing. And when you're talking about New York, Mr. Biggs, if you talk to an NYPD officer, they'll tell you they're not charging these illegals with crimes. And then when they do, they're released and they're not given a bail or bond when they go out. And so the left, it's just all one big lie, and it's not right to the American people. And the statistic that crime is down for migrants. Every illegal who is here illegally entered our country illegally. They literally committed a crime on the way in. So they are all 100% guilty of committing a crime. Mr. Chairman, I brought a folder today because I'm going to enter in some documents into the congressional record this afternoon. So I want to thank our witnesses for being here today.
There she go with that entering stuff into the congressional record. There she go with that entering stuff into the congressional record. She's gonna put that in the archives right next to Michael Eric Dyson.
I'm going to focus my time on the human costs of sanctuary policies from local officials, including Charleston County Sheriff, Sanctuary Sheriff Kristen Graziano, and I hope she's watching today. If she's watching, I hope you have a number 2 pencil and you take notes, because this is
some sheriff, Kristen Graziano, and I looked this stuff up. So at some point we'll be talking about this. But you guys, before I do the stream or before I drop a video, whatever, you guys can look up this individual, Kristen, I think she said Graziano. This is the quote unquote sanctuary sheriff. All right.
Sanctuary Sheriff Kristen Graziano, and I hope she's watching today. If she's watching, I hope you have a number 2 pencil and you take notes, because this is how I do my job. Charleston County Sheriff, the Charleston County, actually, my district used to be a model for cooperation between ICE and local law enforcement. It is no more. Charleston County had a 287G cooperation agreement in place with ICE, acted as an over 72-hour detention facility for aliens apprehended by ICE, and worked together to enforce our nation's laws and keep our community safe. No more because of Sanctuary Sheriff Kristen Graziano. Unfortunately, in early 2021, the new sheriff of Charleston County, Sanctuary Sheriff Kristen Graziano, began a...
Now, let me ask you guys this question. When it comes to the sheriff, right? The sheriff is a local politician, right? Sheriffs get elected locally, right? If that's true, give me a thumbs up. If that's not true, give me a thumbs down.
Systematic effort to dismantle immigration enforcement in Charleston County. Sheriff Graziano, on her first day in office, terminated Charleston County's 287G cooperation agreement with ICE. She announced this in front of a taco shop.
Wow. Like, you can't make this up, man. You cannot make this up. Can't make it up, man. Can't make it up.
Graziano. Unfortunately, in early 2021, the new sheriff of Charleston County, Sanctuary Sheriff Kristen Graziano, began a systematic effort to dismantle immigration enforcement in Charleston County. Sheriff Graziano, on her first day in office, terminated Charleston County's 287G cooperation agreement with ICE. She announced this in front of a taco shop. I don't know why. So, Mr. Chairman, I would like to ask unanimous consent to enter this picture of Sheriff Graziano terminating her 287G agreement in front of El Pincho Taco into the record.
Without objection.
Thank you. I also would like to request unanimous consent to enter this photo. It's Sanctuary Sheriff Kristen Graziano's Twitter header.
Oh, man, look. Oh, yeah, we definitely got to use just like a woman. Because Nancy Mace is just like a woman. She got all the receipts. She got all the screenshots. She got all the receipts. That's just like a woman. You know they're going to have a whole file on you. This is why I'm mad at you. Boom, throw the file on the table. Like you on the like you in the interrogation room.
Just like a woman. That's because some of you niggas, you be acting just like a woman. Nigga Reaper keep it 1,000.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Oh man, that's hilarious. All right, let's get it.
Graziano terminating her 287G agreement in front of El Pincho Taco into the record.
Without objection.
Thank you. I also would like to request unanimous consent to enter this photo. It's Sanctuary Sheriff Kristen Graziano's Twitter header. Here she is with wide open borders are Kamala Harris. Here she is with Joe Biden, who often loved to walk away from the podium and not take questions from press, just like Sanctuary Sheriff Kristen Graziano did today at her own press conference. I'm not sure who did it better, her or Joe Biden. Mr. Chairman, I would like to enter this.
Without objection.
Thank you. I would like to Sheriff Graziano refuses to notify ICE when a criminal illegal alien is in custody and refuses to provide adequate hold time for ICE to assume custody.
That's a problem. If you guys would agree that that's a problem, give me a thumbs up. If that's not a problem, then give me a thumbs down. Kirk said, memory like an elephant. I swear I can't remember half the stuff I'm supposed to have. Bro, listen, look. What do you guys think about the sheriff terminating these agreements with ICE and not detaining these illegal migrants that have committed crimes? Not good. Now, again, right, we got to bring it back to Michael Eric Dyson because, you know, YouTube, Michael Eric Dyson and Nancy Mace, that's what's most important. If Michael Eric Dyson had paid any attention to, like, the amount of screenshots and receipts and paperwork that Nancy Mace always comes equipped with, I don't know if I would have just been shooting anything in her inbox, knowing that she moves like that. One of your text messages might be on a poster board somewhere. But again, when you're a simp and you simply think that simping is going to get you what you want, because what blue-pilled simps won't tell you is that simping is their form of game, the same problem that they have with people that's red pill. Simping is a form of game. Shameful, dishonest, pathetic simps won't sit there and tell you that simping is a form of game. There's no such thing as the quote-unquote no pill and all this. You know what I'm saying? They take a pill, and that pill is the game pill, and simping is their form of game. Let's not get it twisted. Their form of game is simping, right? He thinks that simping is going to get him what he wants. You got no situational awareness, and you're denying reality, and you've got no observational skills whatsoever. How many people remember on BLR1, shout out to Shamika, long time ago, there was a story that I did where we was talking about a police officer, and this police officer, you know, the police, they're freaks, you know what I'm saying, the laws, right? The male police officer was dealing with a female police officer who used to be a journalist. Then the ex-journalist turned around and got him in trouble, got him fired. She had all the receipts and all that. Why would you try to do something undercover with a journalist? As if that's not going to backfire on you. But in many of these cases, No, you know, just the critique on Michael Eric Dyson is whatever the critique is on Michael Eric Dyson. No critique on the fact that he's a simp. No critique on the fact that he did everything absolutely backwards. No critique on the fact that no man should actually try to move or creep like how Michael Eric Dyson did, because that will ultimately get you caught. Just the echo chamber stuff. Because simping is pervasive. Simping is a culture. Simping is a way of life. You know what I'm saying? If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, then give me a thumbs down.
Press conference. I'm not sure who did it better, her or Joe Biden. Mr. Chairman, I would like to enter this.
Without objection.
Thank you. I would like to she refuses to notify, Sheriff Graziano refuses to notify ICE when a criminal illegal alien is in custody and refuses to provide adequate hold time for ICE to assume custody.
So now here goes my thing, right? It's a lot of people in South Carolina. It's a lot of, you know, this really must not be that big of an issue. All of the people that claim, you know, they care so much about immigration and they got an issue with illegal immigration, and really, right, they claim that they really care about the criminal migrants. That's what they care about. That's what they claim. These people are committing crimes. Okay, well, last video we watched, she had a whole list of people that are committing crimes that not very many people did any content about, the people that have an issue with immigration. And here, this sheriff is clearly a problem because she's not cooperating with ICE. Clearly an issue. Where's the content about it? South Carolina, a lot of folks in South Carolina. These things aren't priorities like people say that they're priorities. That's the point. You know what I'm saying? The person that's got the receipts, that's there talking to people, that's the person that this is a priority to. So if you ask me, shout out to PD. PD said you're gonna have to play the simp and Walter drop for a second if we refer to another simp. Yeah, we got to talk about Michael Eric. We got to talk about Michael Eric Dyson and associated simps, because it's not just Michael Eric Dyson. It's a whole bunch of associated simps. You know what I'm saying? All right, Carla, get you some sleep. So where now all of these things with the sheriff, the news reports came out about him 3 to 4 days ago. The sanctuary sheriff. The stuff is, I'm telling you, the YouTube world online, it's an act. This stuff is not really what people say it is. It's not important to people like how they claim that it is. You know what I'm saying? If you ask me, this is huge. This is crazy. It's crazy that a sheriff is not cooperating with law enforcement to lock these people up. It's wild. But in YouTube world, her and Michael Eric Dyson is the priority. It's wild to me. Like that, just to me, that's just crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Consent to enter this picture of Sheriff Graziano terminating her 287G agreement in front of El Pincho Taco into the record.
Without objection.
Thank you. I also would like to request unanimous consent to enter this photo. It's Sanctuary Sheriff Kristen Graziano's Twitter header. Here she is with wide open borders are Kamala Harris. Here she is with Joe Biden, who often loved to walk away from the podium and not take questions from press, just like Sanctuary Sheriff Kristen Graziano did today at her own press conference. I'm not sure who did it better, her or Joe Biden. Mr. Chairman, I would like to enter this.
Without objection.
Thank you. I would like to she refuses to notify, Sheriff Graziano refuses to notify ICE when a criminal illegal alien is in custody and refuses to provide adequate hold time for ICE to assume custody. I'm going to request unanimous consent, Mr. Chairman, to enter her statement yesterday where she says, our policy clearly states on our public website, we only hold residents for ICE if they have a I-247, a detainer immigration center signed by an immigration judge. That's per her office policy. I would like to enter her statement into the record, Mr. Chairman.
Without objection.
In that same vein, I'm going to enter her own office policy that says she can and will release illegal aliens into South Carolina. This is her policy. That's what do you guys think about that?
I mean, she wrote a policy and signed that. Like, that's crazy. South Carolina. So, I don't know, if South Carolina is a sanctuary state. I don't know, like, about the sanctuary cities and all that. It's not going to be easy to maintain any type of anything if you got a sheriff like this in town. Who the new sheriff in town? This lady right here. Like, this is crazy.
I would like to enter her statement into the record, Mr. Chairman.
Without objection.
In that same vein, I'm going to enter her own office policy that says she can and will release illegal aliens into South Carolina. This is her policy she cites as the reason she does this. Did you know she wrote and signed off on her own department policy? It doesn't get any dumber than this. Literally is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in South Carolina history. Her department has been designated as a non-cooperative by ICE. Mr. Chairman, I would like to enter this list of non-cooperative institutions into the congressional record, sir.
Without objection.
Now, how I don't even understand how. Just process this, right? How is it okay to not cooperate with ICE? Like, that is just bizarre. That's just bizarre. How do you do that? Anytime I hear about like these sanctuary cities not cooperating with ICE, it is always mind-boggling to me. I don't understand how they get away with it. I don't understand how that's even a thing. How did that even become a thing? Think about it. How? You know what I'm saying? It's just wild. And then they just boldly do it. I don't get it. Now, here's my thing. Shout out to everybody that's watching. I appreciate you guys. We got 36 people watching and we got 47 likes. If everybody could take a moment, smash that like button. Let's try to get the likes to about 80. That'd be great. We need 11 more people to get on the watching, to get on the 1-to-1, right? Again, like, this is, yeah, I would agree. If you guys agree with PD, that remains a real conflict of interest within law enforcement, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree and you think that it's something different, then give me a thumbs down. I agree 100%, bro. A real conflict of interest. Clear conflict of interest.
Institutions into the congressional record, sir.
Without objection.
All right, I'm running out of time. I'm going to enter in request for unanimous consent to enter this document from ICE. She called me a liar today, where she has released over 50 illegal immigrants into South Carolina, Mr. Chairman.
Without objection.
I would like to request.
She released 50. And like I said, we're going to look at this a little bit. We're going to look at this in more detail. Again, this right here, exactly what she's showing right here. This is how you get those repeat offenders, the Trinidad Aragua people that commit these violent crimes, then turn around and commit a crime against women and children or whatever. This is how you get that. This is how you get that.
Objection.
All right, I'm running out of time. I'm going to enter in request for unanimous consent to enter this document from ICE. She called me a liar today, where she has released over 50 illegal immigrants into South Carolina, Mr. Chairman.
Without objection.
I would like to request unanimous consent to enter all my letters to Sheriff Graziano and ICE into the congressional record over her behavior.
Without objection.
And lastly, she called me a liar today, and she also said that crime has gone down, violent crime has gone down in Charleston County. Mr. Chairman, I would like to ask for unanimous consent to enter the SLED, State Law Enforcement Division's Crime in South Carolina annual report, where it shows violent crime is up. Murders, aggravated assaults, stolen vehicles, etc. It's up. It's not down. It's a lie, Mr. Chairman.
Without objection.
Thank you, and I yield back.
Yeah. If you didn't learn anything from that, learn this lesson. If you notice that a woman is organized like that, don't think that saying sweet nothings in her inbox is not going to come up later and bite you. If you didn't get anything else from that, take that away. You know what I'm saying?
In my background as a naval aviator flying in combat over Iraq and Kuwait, it's a challenging situation to be able to take out a target where there is a civilian population. But this is a terrorist organization they're dealing with.
Now, they keep talking about these terrorist organizations that are not taking over apartment buildings in the United States. You guys know Senator Mark Kelly, Democrat in Arizona. He was one of the people that was in the running to be Harris's vice president. You guys, if you guys recall that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't recall that, give me a thumbs down.
Hamas is responsible for initiating this conflict with what happened about a year ago on October 7th. So we continue to talk to our allies, Israel, about how they're conducting this operation. Hey, civilian loss of life is tragic wherever it happens. And, the Palestinian people that live.
Now, shout out to DC, or not DC. Shout out to NY State of Mind. NY State of Mind says, notice they're placing in our communities. Now, again, let me ask you guys a question. Is that a monolith issue? And here's an even better question. Can we actually call those communities, quote unquote, our communities, or is it more accurate to call those communities blue communities? Because despite the fact that we may live in some of those areas, are the policies coming from us or are the policies coming from the blue playbook? The politics really allows the waters to be muddied, and when people play and keep stirring the water up to make it even more muddy, that doesn't help. So again, this is why I asked this question, right? There's monoliths, more than just the voting monolith. There's all these quote unquote our communities, all predominantly are Democrat. Now, here goes my question. Where are the black red communities at? For one, they're non-existent, right? So that's a failure on black conservatives' parts for not creating communities, right? They failed at that. What they go around pointing their fingers at other people about, they failed to produce themselves, right? So we don't have that data to draw off of. But here's my question. If there were black red communities, would migrants be getting sent to those communities? That's my question. We don't have enough data to know, right? But based on the data that we do have, what kind of conclusion can we come up with? Now, let me ask you guys a question. Is there a reason why that data hasn't been formulated? Is there a reason why that data hasn't been allowed to develop? See, these are the questions right here that we gotta really get those on the bullseye. Really either get definitive, we're just not gonna answer those questions, or get the actual answers and then hold those people to those answers for the next 100 years. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Now, shout out to NY State of Mind. NY State of Mind says we still stationed on voting Democrats, which opens you up to all these vulnerabilities. So there has to be a separation, right? There has to be a separation. People have to separate their identity from the Democrat identity, or from any political identity for that matter, right? If these are Democrat cities, Democrat areas, we have to call them Democrat areas. We have to call them Democrat cities. Those people that are there that are voting that way, they just have to accept the L of being engulfed in all of that nonsense. But they continue to voluntarily be engulfed in all that nonsense. They have to take that. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Now, if you look, like we just talked about that, the gang violence and all of that stuff, or the pending gang war that they think is going to happen in Chicago, Tyrone Muhammad and all of that. You see those people in Chicago, they're scrambling to try to convince people to vote. They're trying to scramble to convince people to vote red. You know what I'm saying? Who made Chicago a blue city? At the very root, it always comes down to the voter. The voter should always be scrutinized. And the more the magnifying glass is put on the voter, the more that sunlight comes through that magnifying glass and starts to burn away that nonsense, the less of that nonsense you will see, especially with these shame-sensitive people. A lot of people are shame-sensitive. Shame, blame, and explain. Shout out to Ty City, right? It's only effective if you have a way of actually enforcing the desired behavior change that you want, right? In most cases, if you're shame sensitive, then you can probably shame someone into the desired behavior change that you want. Let me ask you guys this question. Would people like people to vote as if they have a triple-digit IQ instead of voting like they have a double-digit IQ? Would that make people a little bit more happy? If that would be something that would make your day better, give me a thumbs up. If it's not something that will make your day better, give me a thumbs down.
Live in Gaza, they're not Hamas. There are Hamas terrorists there that Israel is focused on eliminating because they cannot have this threat so close to their border.
Senator,
but it's a continuous discussion.
Senator, you said, just to be very clear, I think it's appropriate to put conditions on some of that aid if you don't see some changes. It sounds like you are not at that point yet where you want to see aid conditioned. Do I hear you accurately? That's correct. We continue to talk to them. I've seen some positive responses from them when I have specifically asked them to do things differently. Here's an example. I mean, the use of guided munition with a Mark 80 series bomb, you could hit a target very accurately. If you're using naval gunfire, that doesn't work so.
The thing that you will notice about these guys is that they spend more time talking about these issues that we really shouldn't even be involved with than issues like right here in the United States. Let me see something. Hold on. Okay. All right. I think this is where it starts at.
Actions that restrict asylum. She would ramp up prosecutions against those who cross the border illegally.
All right. Let me go back. Now, I'm not trying to be funny right here, but this lady right here, this news anchor, this news anchor look like she could look like she could be one of Kamala Harris's cousins for real. If y'all agree, give me a thumbs up. If y'all don't, give me a thumbs down. She look like she could be in the kitchen cooking with Cam and Mindy. You know what I'm saying?
I'm pretty confident that was a guided weapon that was used in that case.
All right, let me ask you about another topic. You were with Vice President Kamala Harris when she visited the border on Friday. Harris has said she would extend President Biden's executive actions that restrict asylum. She would ramp up prosecutions against those who cross the border illegally. Do you support those actions, Senator?
I was with the vice president a couple days ago at the border. It was great to have her there. It was a really good trip. She got to meet with elected leaders, talk about these issues specifically and how it affects Arizona, the state of Arizona. Hey, she's a prosecutor. She's a border senator, a border attorney general.
She's a prosecutor that's talking about decriminalizing prosecutable crimes. I don't think is Kamala Harris trying to prosecute people, or is she trying to make a lot of stuff legal that really probably is problematic and shouldn't be made legal? Which one is she doing?
She knows how to handle these issues. The executive actions that the White House took, I mean, they had to take these executive actions because Donald Trump told Senate Republicans that they were not allowed to work out a deal with Democrats. We actually had the deal, and then he told them that they had to walk away from this. Because
now the thing is this isn't an honest representation. This is not an honest representation. And you guys know when that border bill, first of all, the border bill had a lot of stuff about Ukraine in it that they're not talking about, right? There's that, right? Second of all, why do they think that this is a adequate? Why do they think that this is an adequate solution to the problem? Talking about this border bill, right? 3 years into the presidency, while allowing the border to be completely open for the first 3 years, and then when it's time for re-election, now we'll introduce this weak border plan that actually still allows for a quota influx, right? Because there's still a quota of influx of certain migrants that are allowed to come in under that border bill. The border bill basically says X number of migrants are allowed to come in, and then we slow the flow if it gets above or below this number. So the border bill is still actually a open border policy with parameters on how we narrow or widen our border allowances. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Yeah, and J Lord, 500 million or billion for Ukraine. 1.8 million illegal aliens allowed every year. Yeah, that's it in a nutshell. Is that really a policy addressing any of that? How does this policy address those numbers where you got 17,000 criminals coming in? You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't make any sense.
Donald Trump doesn't want to solve this problem. He just wants to talk about problems. So, yeah, I mean, she's prepared on day one to deal with this issue. She said she would sign that legislation into law. It's up to us in the Senate, myself, Senator Rubio, and others to bring that legislation back and send it to her desk.
Let me read to you what some immigrant rights groups are saying. As you know, they sued the Biden administration for restricting asylum, saying these policies are, quote, cruel and ineffective. What is your response to those who argue that Vice President Harris's actions would seriously infringe on the right to asylum and that they are inhumane?
Well, let me first start with what's inhumane, and that's Donald Trump taking children away.
Listen to this, man. What about what's inhumane is Trinde Aragua taking over hotels in Texas and walking around in apartment buildings in Aurora, Colorado with long guns out to the point where people can't even do normal commerce there. What about what's cruel and unusual to the people that pay taxes and live here? Like this is the priorities. Look, if these politicians, if the prioritization is off this badly as it pertains to politics, none of these people have any business being voted in. None of these people have any business being voted in. I mean, there's just a blatant disregard on display, and they're trying to mask it with some sense of urgency over doing nothing. Look, do you guys remember a couple, maybe I want to say like about 6 months ago? Remember, I kind of hadn't had a chance to do a lot of the migrant crisis content on my other channels. And I was like, oh, just because I haven't done any undocumented bros videos in a minute, that doesn't mean that the migrant crisis isn't still popping. The migrant crisis is still lit. You guys remember me saying that? Yeah, and I wouldn't disagree with Chris. Chris says either way we lose. Yeah, I think that the only thing that there is to gain is people should look at these situations and see how being disinvested from common sense politics can just completely destroy your environment. And that's right now what we're witnessing. You know what I'm saying?
Read to you what some immigrant rights groups are saying. As you know, they sued the Biden administration for restricting asylum, saying these policies are, quote, cruel and
and this is NBC. So they care. They actually care about they shouldn't even if they shouldn't even enter that into court. If you ask me, that doesn't even have a place in court. If those groups want to take that to the UN or if they want to take that to some type of international court, okay, that to me makes sense. But for the United States to even allow that in our court is just, to me, that's crazy. That's ridiculous. They should have took that and tore it up and threw it in the recycle bin. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down.
It's up to us in the Senate, myself, Senator Rubio and others to bring that legislation back and send it to her desk.
Let me read to you what some immigrant rights groups are saying. As you know, they sued the Biden administration for restricting asylum, saying these policies are, quote, cruel and ineffective. What is your response to those who argue that Vice President Harris's actions would seriously infringe on the right to asylum and that they are inhumane?
Well, let me first start with what's inhumane, and that's Donald Trump taking children away from their parents. That's not the situation here. I mean, she is trying to manage and will.
Shout out to my man DSB. Make sure you guys show DSB some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for my man DSB. Funding the organization and growing the organization and standing on business.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the marching times.
I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business.
Definitely appreciate it, bro. Make sure y'all throw some membership emoji in the chat for my man DSB. All right.
Will try to manage a situation at our southern border that often gets chaotic and can get to a crisis level. And that's not safe for migrants. It's not safe for Border Patrol agents. It's not safe for the communities in southern Arizona.
Now, again, you guys, we saw what Nancy Mace was just talking about, right? That stuff that Nancy Mace was talking about, that's not safe for us. So I want you guys to pay very close attention. When it comes to the Democrats, it's very obvious who they prioritize. You can see it right here in this news clip right here. Who did it? Look, I'm going to ask you guys, who do the Democrats prioritize? Let me know in the comment section.
So she's committed to working on this issue. That's why she was meeting with the Cochise County Sheriff 2 days ago and Republican mayors in the area. We had some productive conversations, and she's ready to deal with this on day one.
Shout out to my man, Kurt. Make sure y'all show Kurt some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for Kurt. And get your forks and get your knives.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat.
Oh man, Trump crazy, man. Curse. Oh man. Kurt said, man, they be suing because the McDonald's server can't speak Spanish and then cry civil rights. It's crazy how entitled they are. Yeah. Facts. I agree. If you guys agree with Kurt, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. J Lord is still convinced on those cats. I need some evidence. Like I said, if anybody gets me evidence of some actual cat eating in Springfield, Ohio, we will definitely talk about it. I'll make a video. I'll do a live stream. I have not seen any. No one has hit me up. The person that came the closest, Deacon Dave, sent me a tweet with some cannibalism going on in Haiti, right? But still nothing in Springfield, Ohio. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Young Nine. What's good with it? And real quick, shout out to everybody watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed the like button yet, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell. And also, please share the stream to your social media.
Senator, let me ask you about the economy. Of course, the vice president also put a focus on that this week, saying she would raise corporate taxes to pay for her economic plans. Experts estimate her plans could cost about
Look, DC Precise said it's called Sweet and Sour Chicken number 5, aka Sweet and Sour Kitten.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat.
Oh man, sweet and sour kidding is crazy. Oh man.
$1 trillion. The Nonpartisan Tax Foundation estimates that raising the corporate tax rate to 28%, which Harris has proposed, will cost jobs, reduce wages, and hurt economic growth. Do you support raising the corporate tax rate to 28%?
Well, I think it got lowered too much under Donald Trump's tax plan. He also, by the way, gave a giant tax cut to billionaires like himself.
So is that a yes,
friends.
Senator? Is that
Let me
a
say
yes?
something about? I think it's worth looking at. Donald Trump added trillions of dollars to the deficit. His Project 2025 plan is going to raise costs for families $4,000. It's according to economists. This isn't coming from me. According to economists, it's going to trigger a recession, high inflation. Costs are going to go up for the American people. I mean, that's Donald Trump's plan. Kamala Harris is focused on bringing down costs for Americans and American families, on childcare and healthcare, on prescription drugs. She cares about families.
Okay, so now again, they keep saying this, right? But how's she gonna do it? Now, shout out to Patrick Tyler. Patrick says this black dude said he didn't know if they doing it, but he knows the stray cats have gone scarce. Yeah. But at the same time, though, right? That they could have gone scarce, but people eating animals is not the only reason why animals go scarce at times. You know what I'm saying? And again, with this whole Project 2025 thing, right? Donald Trump, his thing is called what? Agenda 47. Shout out to DSB. DSB says costs high under Harris. Yeah, let me again, like, so when it comes to how these things work with the ideas of how the government should work and how these politicians do, just based on the way that Democrats and quote unquote leftist politics work, they have to fund their government expansions that they believe are necessary to run whatever or country or whatever state or whatever it is, whatever government body it is. It's a requirement for them to have some type of funding to fuel the government expansion that's necessary for them to run things based on their ideology. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. By that logic, in most cases, it will almost always be more expensive to have any form of leftist government, Democrat, socialist, communist, because of the large infusion into the government that's required to sustain the government resources that are necessary with that expansion to execute the plans. By nature, a conservative or right-leaning government is going to always be more reductionist. This is why when they try to say about Project 2025, one of the biggest things that they talk about the abortion stuff and whatever they call it, reproductive rights, as a fear-mongering tool, right? That's the biggest thing that they talk about, because that's the biggest issue that is involved in that can talk, that discusses something that's not really on the table for discussion with the public. But the other thing that they talk about with Project 2025 is slashing all of these government organizations, slashing government control, slashing government funding, in most cases, based on ideology. That's usually indicative of how a right-leaning political, government, economic ideology works. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, then give me a thumbs down.
Tonight, Vice President Harris landing in Arizona for her first trip to the southern border in 3 years, also facing new criticism from former President Trump after the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Director sent a letter to lawmakers revealing more than 13,000 migrants previously convicted of homicide are currently free inside the U.S.
Now, again, we got to ask this question because we asked this before, right? And we got to ask this again now, and we're going to keep on asking this. Why is it, and when will NBC, when will CNN, when will CBS, and when will ABC, when will these news organizations have Border Patrol agents and ICE agents on there to be interviewed? And why haven't they had any on there to date?
And I've been saying this from the beginning of the Harris-Biden disaster. What they've done to our country with this is inexcusable.
A source familiar with the data tells NBC News many entered the country prior to the Biden administration and that ICE lacks resources to find them. All of it after Trump earlier today met with Ukrainian President.
So let's go back to that because that's big. I like how they just slid that in there. ICE lacks resources to deal with it. So basically, those criminals that have been let into the country, they're just so y'all know, they're here to stay. So now imagine if more criminals keep coming here to stay. You guys heard this, right? This is NBC. Oh, they don't have the resources to deal with it. If they don't have the resources to deal with this problem, what does that mean what does that mean for the future of this problem? Will this problem get solved, and how will it get solved? Let me know. Will this problem get solved? How will this problem get solved? I don't know if it I don't know if it will. I don't think that it will. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that that's happening. I think that how it is right now, we're just stuck, and it is what it is. Shout out to everybody that's watching. I appreciate you guys. We got 31 people watching. I appreciate each and every one of you, and we got 51 likes. If everybody could take a moment, smash that like button. If you guys haven't hit the bell and subscribe to the channel, please take a moment, hit the bell, subscribe to the channel. And also, if you have not shared the stream to your social media, please take a moment and share the stream to your social media.
Is inexcusable.
A source familiar with the data tells NBC News many entered the country prior to the Biden administration and that ICE lacks resources to find them. All of it after Trump earlier today met with Ukrainian.
Now, here Chris says the questions that I ask are questionable. If you guys agree with Chris, my questions are questionable. Give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down.
President Zelensky.
Great honor to have you. Thank you very much. Thanks so much.
Trump calling it a great meeting.
We also have a very good relationship, as you know, with President Putin. I think that we can work out something that's good for both sides.
Meanwhile, here in rural Cochise County, Arizona, a senior campaign official says Harris will propose tighter asylum restrictions than President Biden. There's been a record 10 million illegal border crossings since Harris and President Biden took office.
Why would anybody believe that? Border restrictions that Harris will put in place will be tighter than border restrictions that look. They're walking. Do you guys see a big, huge part of this picture is a Trump border restriction. This is a fact. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. There go one of them questionable questions again. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. A big part of this picture is a Trump border protection. This is a undeniable fact. This big giant fence. This big giant wall that's here, this is a Trump border protection. Kamala Harris has said that her border protections will be more effective and more stringent than Trump's. Trump's border protection is a huge part of this picture's landscape. These are undeniable facts. We're literally looking at it. Nothing anybody can say to debunk that.
Harris will propose tighter asylum restrictions than President Biden. There's been a
why should anybody believe that? I don't believe. Why would anybody believe that? Harris will put in more tight border restrictions than Biden. Why aren't they in place already then? Why haven't you advised? Why hasn't Biden been advised to implement these things then? Does that make any sense?
For both sides.
Meanwhile, here in rural Cochise County, Arizona, a senior campaign official says Harris will propose tighter asylum restrictions than President Biden. There's been a record 10 million illegal border crossings since Harris and President Biden took office.
We do have a broken immigration system, and it needs to be fixed.
Still, crossings have dropped dramatically in recent months, and Harris is slamming Trump for killing a bipartisan border bill earlier this year. How frustrating was that for you?
Absolutely frustrating.
Harris supporter and former sheriff's deputy Danya Acosta voted for Trump in 2016, but now says he's relying on fear.
That's really sad that people are being used as pawns for political reasons.
This has been in your family for 100 years. 128. Though rancher John Ladd says the Biden-Harris administration should never have ended Trump's restrictive border policies.
And Trump had it figured out.
That took us to a border fence constructed during the Trump administration, showing us where smugglers have cut it repeatedly. He's skeptical of Harris's promise to secure the border.
That's baloney. That's an absolute lie. She doesn't care about the border.
While Harris is trailing Trump on immigration, she's polling better on the issue than President Biden. And her campaign believes a trip like this to a swing state like Arizona could be crucial. Lester?
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app.
What is this? Look at this. I'm looking at this. It's botanical sexism. The reason why your allergies are worse this year? Botanical sexism? Okay. So, News Nation did a video, all right? And they're talking about Harris's visit to the border. Now, this is a different video than the one that we watched yesterday. All right. I think this one here is just a conversation. It says today, Vice President Harris to visit southern border. BP walked out illegal immigrants 2 miles from the event. Like they had illegal immigrants crossing. You know what I'm saying? They had illegal immigrants trying to get into the country 2 miles away from the event. You know what I'm saying? Like, make it make sense.
Yeah, hey, Marnie. So I was driving around trying to see if there was any activity, but Border Patrol is very heavily saturated along the border wall. So I ended up just outside of that area where Border Patrol was pulling out these two men who had just jumped the wall, had breached the wall, and entered the United States illegally. Now,
shout out to Patrick. And this is why I say this, right? This is huge. That is a fact. That what you're saying right there, that is exactly their way of dealing with it. And that is not the appropriate way to deal with it at all. This is why, do you guys remember way back in the day, I would be like, immigration reform and border security are not the same issue. Those are two separate issues. If you are ever in a situation where you're talking to somebody about this, or you're actually fortunate enough to be able to talk to a politician, never allow a politician to answer a question about border security with a immigration reform answer. They are two different things. They must remain separated and they must be discussed separately. They are not the same thing. They are mutually exclusive. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Let me ask you guys this question. When it comes to your house, is your security on your house different than your financial plan, your mortgage, or whatever you got going on? Those are different, right? Immigration reform is immigration reform. Border security is border security. They are two separate things. So my question for you guys is, when politicians are addressed about border security, why do they respond with immigration reform answers? They weren't asked about immigration reform. Immigration reform is a set of laws that regulates immigration policy in the United States. Border security are interventions and policies that maintain the integrity of a barrier that separates our country from the outside. If you guys would agree that those definitions are correct and accurate, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, those definitions are incorrect and inaccurate, then provide me with more accurate or more satisfactory definitions.
They were trying to evade. So what that means is they were trying to get away from law enforcement and not be found. So they were laying up and they were hiding out. Border Patrol went in there with canines and several agents. And
snap! Kurt came out the wallet, and I gotta agree with Chris. Politics is all lies. Unfortunately, it is. Kurt came out the wallet with the big bag. Make sure you guys show Kurt some love, throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat, and some membership emoji in the chat for Kurt coming off the big bag. And get your forks, get your knives.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. Eat the cat.
Seeing red, so don't push me. Ain't Donald Trump trying to grab him by the... Said it was some Haitians somewhere out in Springfield. Women doing cartwheels.
Have you seen Garfield?
Eat the cat.
Have you seen Snowball? This about to snowball. I'm about to go off. I can't let this go on. Miss me like an airball. Tell me when my cat is coughing up like a hairball.
Eat the cat.
I gotta tell them if they even put the fingernail on Santa's little helper to turn them to hamburger helper. Somebody better help them, cause I'm going to jail for showing them fellas helter skelter.
Eating the dog.
Usually I'm content, but if you touch my dog, then I'm turning into John Wick. I'm lit. Bird better drop it. If you touch my pet, then I'm pulling up like CrossFit.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. Eat the cat.
It's a shame, it's a pity. Gone overseas where they said Hello Kitty, but it ain't there, it's right here in your city. When I turn my back, now the cat goes missing and where my peoples is at. Does anybody know where he took with that? Cause I heard they putting claws on felines, I'm mad. And my cat disappeared just like Felix the cat. And got paid back. Thought she was a goner, but the cat came back. If you ain't a pussy cat, say drop that cat. Drop that cat. Drop that cat. Got paid back. Thought she was a goner, but the cat came back. If you ain't a pussy cat, say drop that cat. Drop that cat. Drop that cat.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs. Eat the cat.
Drop that cat.
Oh man, that's wild, man. That's oh man, that is so funny. Oh man, that is so funny, man. Shout out to Kirk. Kirk says that biological sexism thing was wild. I hate pollen, and it's really weird to know that trees are having procreating and releasing genetic material everywhere. It's kind of when you think about it, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of disturbing like milk, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of disturbing like milk, you know what I'm saying? So then Kurt says they believe that over time, humans have preferentially propagated and planted male trees, thus leading to increases in pollen production and allergies. That's really? They think that, huh? I wonder, do they have any evidence of that? And again, like, what would be why would like that would be the preference? Like somebody actually has a preference. If there was any type of preference, I would think that the preference would be like, female plants because they bear fruit. You know what I'm saying? Like they would be more productive. But okay, sex or feminists. You know what I'm saying? He said they blaming the male trees for spraying in their nose, huh? Oh man. Hey, that's wild. Shout out to Black Women Stand Up. What's good with it? Yo, that's wild, man. Yeah, there's that whole thing with what was that? Fairport, Alabama, allegedly, right? There's rumors allegedly rumors of 1,000 Haitian migrants to Fairport, Alabama. Was it Fairport? Did I say Fairport? Or is it? Yeah, Fairport. Yeah. So we'll see. Montgomery County, I think. I put a video up about it. It's just a little clip from the live stream.
Actually located them and pulled them out. Again, this is only 1.9 miles from where I'm standing, which is where Vice President Kamala Harris is slated to be in just mere hours. Now, these two individuals.
Shout out to DC Precise. Yeah, they sound crazy.
Just like a woman. That's because some of you niggas, you be acting just like a woman. Nigga, Reaper, keep it 1,000.
Oh, man.
Had they not been caught, they would contribute to the more than 2 million gotaways that have already been recorded this year. So Kamala Harris is slated to be here this afternoon around 2 or 3 o'clock. She'll be here at Cochise College in Douglas. Now, Douglas is only a town of about 16.
Now, look at him. Look at this. You see this dude right here? Wait a minute. The little one over there in front of the bus, the little pudgy dude, you know he came in here to get a Planet Fitness membership. Little pudgy. So he was eating good wherever he was at. He got more weight on him than I got. You know what I'm saying?
O'clock. She'll be here at Cochise College in Douglas. Now, Douglas is only a town of about 16,000 people, roughly. It became a drop-off hub, though, for Border Patrol to release migrants after they were processed. These people were released to the streets, and then they were transported north to NGOs in Tucson and Phoenix. Now, more than 160 nationalities have been encountered at our southern border over the last 3.5 years. Now, they all traverse through Mexico to get to our back door, but law enforcement down here say Vice President Kamala Harris was virtually hands-off on the issue and really downplayed the crisis. Now, for the majority of this administration.
So again, right, if that's what Kamala Harris has been doing, if that's been her get down, and again, these numbers haven't changed, right? People, as old content from this channel appears on your homepage, watch it. None of these numbers, none of this stuff has changed. It's literally all been the same story. Except for now. Now the story has changed. Now, apparently, Kamala Harris has all the answers to these issues that she's been ignoring. She's been ignoring these issues, downplaying these issues. But if you care about this, or if you question this, or if you have any type of issue in regards to this, the shaming police come out the window for you. They come out the window for you. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. I don't think anybody would disagree with this. Jay Lord said, is anybody picking up the patterns? They are collapsing society. Yeah, I mean, from the financial aspect, you know what I'm saying, the economic system, immigration, infrastructure. I mean, you know what I'm saying? And again, at the same time, when it comes to that, right? The population has to be scrutinized the toughest, if you ask me. They have to be criticized the most, especially the people that have supported the politicians that have put these type of things into place.
They were transported north to NGOs in Tucson and Phoenix. Now, more than 160 nationalities have been encountered at our southern border over the last 3.5 years. Now, they all traverse through Mexico to get to our back door, but law enforcement down here say Vice President Kamala Harris was virtually hands-off on the issue and really downplayed the crisis. Now, for the majority of this administration's term, both Vice President Harris and President Biden have held very compassionate stances when it comes to the southern border. They've kept detention at a minimum. They have leaned heavily on parole programs as legal pathways, and they've provided millions in federal funding to volunteer groups. But
now, do you guys see that? Now those volunteer groups are the NGOs. Now here's the thing, right? We just heard, right? Shout out to Allie, right? We just heard Allie lay out what the Biden-Harris administration has done, has been doing, and is doing to deal with the quote-unquote migrant crisis. So here's my question for everybody. Why should or would anybody trust Kamala Harris to go away from the direction that she's been going for the last 4 years and make a sharp right and do something different? Why would we make that assumption?
The minimum. They have leaned heavily on parole programs as legal pathways, and they've provided millions in federal funding to volunteer groups. But for 3+ years, nothing was done when it came to cutting down on crossings, and the problem persisted, crippling border communities in Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, and California. And we were there for every day of it. When pressed on the millions of migrants who have poured across the southern border under this administration, or the lack of vetting that's happening in the processing, Vice President Harris points to the failed bipartisan border bill. That's a bill that was backed by the Border Patrol Union, but it was heavily opposed by the National Sheriff's Association.
The frustration comes for 3.5 years of seeing tragedy after tragedy. And when you have the White House and 51% of Congress that has intellectually turned its back on us, that's frustrating to me.
The message is she's seeking compromise. She does care about border security, but she's open to a resolution that involves all sides of.
Now, see that here's where Jay Lord and I are gonna disagree at, right? Because if you ask me, right, I think that the only people that are sticking up for illegal aliens based on race are white people. I don't think that anybody else is sticking up for illegal aliens based on race. The majority of the illegal aliens that come into the United States are Venezuelan, who are Latino, who are on paper classified and qualified as white. Now, as far as Mike DeWine goes in Ohio, I don't think that he's sticking up for those Haitian people in Ohio because they're black. I highly doubt that, right? But what race are Hispanic people, Latino people, people from South America considered through U.S. naturalization, U.S. customs and naturalization? On paper, they are considered white. White people have said that Asians are the quote-unquote model minority. Most Asians are of an immigrant background. So I think that when it comes to quote-unquote prioritizing anybody that's not from the United States as far as taking sides with, per se, I would say that white people win the white people win the award on that one. You know what I'm saying? But there's the projection, for whatever reason, that that's not how it is. But if you look at the data shows that that's how it is. You know what I'm saying? If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Yeah, or Ukrainian or Afghanistan, or, right, not even just Ukraine and Afghanistan, them folks. You know what I'm saying? The nano hats, the sombreritos, you know what I'm saying? The rev 29, you know what I'm saying? Them people, right?
The government, which would finally bring some stability to the border.
Now, Marnie, you heard from Sheriff Daniels there, who has been extending the invitation to Vice President Harris for 3.5 years now. He has not had a single conversation with President Biden or Vice President Harris, aside from this event slated for today. Now, Sheriff Daniels will be there hosting the tour along the border when she makes that stop. Marnie.
And what is the plan for today? What will she be seeing, given that you're out there all the time, Allie?
Yeah, well, she's going to see some of it. Unfortunately, it is a little bit cleaned up. As I mentioned, Border Patrol is basically shoulder to shoulder at the wall right now. Mexican military and police are heavily patrolling the Mexico side as well. But Kamala Harris is debuting a new ad today talking about border security, talking about that she's going to enforce the law. She's going to secure the border, different things like that. And she is expected to really kind of press on President Donald Trump about how he was the reason that the border bill that she calls is a solution, that it failed. Now she's also expected to talk.
Now, I want to ask you guys this question. Is harping on the border bill, is that a talking point, or is the border bill not passing the reason why we have all of these negative statistics and data that we have about the border over the last 4 years? That's my question. Let me know what you guys think. And real quick, shout out to everybody that's watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed the like button yet, please do me a favor, take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell, and also please share the stream to your social media. Let me see where we at. Hold on real quick. Let's see. We got 29 people watching and we got 54 likes. Let's try to get the likes to 80.
About fighting the flow of fentanyl and getting additional screening machines for the ports of entry and things like that to double down on preventing that deadly drug from getting into the nation. Now, when it comes to what her and President Biden have done with the border crisis, we know that President Biden ultimately in June finally signed an executive action to crack down on these asylum seekers and these people who are crossing the southern border. Now, they did point to Congress for basically the better a portion of their administration here, Marnie, 3.5 years. They said Congress needs to act and do something. But here's the deal. Democrats actually controlled Congress for the first 2 years of this administration, but no border legislation was negotiated or passed during that time.
Now, that's important, right? So as soon as they mention this border bill, that's how you nullify that talking point right there. That's how you nullify and deal with that talking point right there. So now, based on what she just said, is bringing up the border bill sufficient to addressing the last 4 years of border failure? If it is, give me a thumbs up. If it's not, give me a thumbs down.
Asylum seekers and these people who are crossing the southern border. Now, they did point to Congress for basically the better a portion of their administration here, Marnie, 3.5 years. They said Congress needs to act and do something. But here's the deal. Democrats actually controlled Congress for the first 2 years of this administration, but no border legislation was negotiated or passed during that time. So now with this executive action and all of a sudden border crossings are down, right ahead of the election, a lot of people are questioning whether or not that this administration is truly committed to getting a hold of this border crisis.
And I think that's a valid question. I think that's a valid concern. I think that they absolutely should be questioned on their integrity with how invested are they in actually dealing with the border. Shout out to Mr. J. Mr. J said Kamala just said in Vegas that it's Trump's fault. Shout out to DC. DC said it's a BS silly talking point that goes back to border security versus amnesty / free citizenship foolishness. Yeah, I would agree. Virginia says, as far as borders, do only west. I was just registered as an independent. Hold on, wait. What? Well, I just registered as an independent Mexican republic. Okay.
But no border legislation was negotiated or passed during that time. So now with this executive action and all of a sudden border crossings are down, right ahead of the election, a lot of people are questioning whether or not that this administration is truly committed to getting a hold of this border crisis.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find news. Nation on your
So my question for you guys is, based on what we've seen so far, how effective would you all say that the hold on real quick. How effective would you all say that the border visit for Kamala Harris has been? How effective has it been? Let me see. So hold on. Let me just take a look at some of this stuff real quick. Let me see. Yeah, you know, this if you ask me, what Kamala Harris is doing, it's like what would you call that? It's almost like cramming for an exam. It's almost like cramming for an exam. Would you, if you guys would agree, it's almost like cramming for an exam. It's like they waited up until the last minute to try to do something, and now they're trying to put something together fast at the last minute that's going to work without any prep or investment involved. And to me, honestly, you can tell, like they just slopped a lot of this stuff together. You know what I'm saying? And it looks bad. But the issue is that people are still going to vote for this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Even though it doesn't make any sense.
Made her first visit to the southern border since 2021 because, of course, she's now trying to portray herself as being tough on illegal immigration, despite the fact that she was hopeless as Joe Biden's borders are. But it seems she's failed to send the message she wanted because the internet went sleuthing on her necklace, and many believe that it was a Tiffany & Co. necklace.
See. I ain't got time to Terry. So you got the Greg Abbott razor wire, right? You got the Abbott razor wire in front of the Trump wall, and Kamala Harris standing there, and she hasn't really contributed anything to the border security, and except for saying that her border security policies are going to be somehow better than Biden's, which I don't. That's like saying that you're gonna have zero better than zero. Like, you know, it just, I don't. A lot of this is just, you know, whatever.
But it seems she's failed to send the message she wanted because the internet went sleuthing on her necklace, and many believe that it was a Tiffany & Co. necklace, which costs about $62,000 US, which is about 90,000 Australian. And of course, she's been going on about how, you know, Evelyn, I grew up in a middle-class suburb and everyone cared for their lawn. So if you're going to go down to the Mexican border to surveil all these desperate people trying to get over to the other side, why wouldn't you go in a Tiffany necklace?
Yeah, look, it's not the smartest political move, but I don't think that she's got much more than a couple of brain cells going on upstairs based on some of the speeches she's given throughout her.
Shout out to Win Lose a Rug. Win Lose a Rug says she finally went down to the border, huh? Took her long enough. Bro, she went down to the border and it's been bad. Like, man, she's been getting roasted. I don't even know. Honestly, I don't even know why she went. It might not have even been a good idea for her to even address this. Like, honestly, it might have actually been a better idea for her to just let Trump win this issue and her try to win on other issues, try to upplay abortion, right? And try to take the lead on economy. I don't know if I would even touch this, because just by touching this, you know what I'm saying, is going to bring people back to all of the inconsistencies that you're about to say and all of the failures that they've done. Yeah, they finna cook her for the necklace now. They about to cook her for the necklace now. You know what I'm saying?
Political history. But look, how can people want another 4 years of this? It does kind of make a mockery and a joke of the situation. I think what's this, only her second visit or something to the border in her entire...
So she lives in California. Like, you've got a better chance of getting to the border by accident.
Yeah. Okay, did you hear what the ICE director... So the ICE director only this week made an admission that over 425,000 illegal convicted criminals have illegally been entered into the United States of America. 15,000 of them have been convicted of sexual assault and 13,000 of them have been convicted of murder, homicide. And that's just what we know of. So, I mean, she going down there with the necklace and with these stats, like, it's not a good image because she can't say, I'm going to fix the problem. Well, you've been there for 4 years. You've visited twice. One of the times you went there flashing potentially thousands of dollars worth of jewelry. And like, you've done nothing.
Like, your point about brain cells, I'm actually concerned if she got what middle class is right, because we middle class people do not usually afford this sort of stuff. But what most concerning is that her dad is a Stanford economist, and even he failed to explain to her what middle class is.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're going to talk about her and economy. Let's not even go there. We haven't got enough time. But before we go, Gwen Waltz, who is the wife of Harris's running mate, Tim Waltz, she's been out on the campaign trail in Michigan, where she's had some powerful words to say to Donald Trump and J.D. Vance.
Are you ready? Let's hear it loud and clear like we said. Mr. Trump, Mr. Vance, please mind your own business.
Oh, man, this is crazy, man. This is crazy. This is wild, man. Like, you can't make this up.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat.
Yeah, we talked about the Smith-Mundt Act on my other channel, the propaganda. You can't make this up, man. Like this. Where was this? I gotta see this. I want to see this entire thing.
Donald Trump and J.D. Vance.
Are you ready? Let's hear it loud and clear like we said. Mr. Trump, Mr. Vance, please mind your own business. Oh, that was excellent.
Sam, I feel like I'm back at kindergarten.
Oh, man. I bet you, listen, man, I bet you Tim Walz is such a simp. Listen, Tim Walz is probably such a simp. Tim Walz is such a simp. He didn't even have it in him to say, honey, go sit your ass down somewhere and don't do that ever again, please. I bet you he didn't say it. How many of you guys think that he didn't say it? He probably lied to her and said, honey, you did a great job. I really appreciate you. The right thing to have said to her would have been, come here. Next time I have a rally, sit your ass down and shut the hell up. You didn't help. I love you. I know you love me. If you love me, next time sit the hell down and shut the hell up. Okay? Guarantee you Tim Walz didn't say that. Because that would be, that would be the unthinkable. You can't talk to a woman like that. You know what I'm saying?
It's awkward. I reckon? I will agree with that. What I will say, though, is she is genuinely beloved in Minnesota. Like, genuinely beloved. I don't know.
What, by carrying on like that?
No, I don't know. But, like, her approval ratings are as high, if not higher, than her husband's.
Well, maybe.
Go
To
figure. That's a
it's a running
concern.
theme in US
That's a
politics, isn't it?
concern.
The wife is more popular than the husband.
I had a
Obama.
flashback to Biden's wife when I watched that. Are they all the Democrat politicians are so gutless as men that they need a strong female figure next to them to actually approve their decisions?
Well, Dave,
That was the thing that Joe Biden was missing. But,
it reminds you of
it's actually a really clever play by them, and this is something that Tim Walz has pulled out. And
that chick in the pink was actually on to something. That chick in the pink was on some red pill. Listen to what she said.
I had a flashback to Biden's wife when I watched that. Are they all the Democrat politicians are so gutless as men that they need a strong female figure next to them to actually approve their decisions?
Hey, she's actually on to something. If you guys would agree, she's actually on to something. Give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. She's actually on to something. That's what I be saying.
That was the thing that Joe Biden was missing. But,
it reminds you of
it's actually a really clever play by them, and this is something that Tim Walz has pulled out, and something that is way above Kamala Harris's head, and why he's been such an asset to her. Where you actually flip this whole thing, you make things like women's reproductive rights, things like trans rights or whatever it may be, about freedom, about Americans having the freedom to do what they want, and don't let the government and the nanny state get involved and poke around in people's bedrooms and in people's lives. And so they're flipping the whole kind of Republican rhetoric back onto them, which is clearly just what he's done, and she.
Well, good luck to her.
All right, so there's that. All right, so you know what? Actually, yeah, we'll believe it or not, I actually had this JD Vance video queued up. We're gonna talk about that at a later date. Shout out to Win Loser Rug. Win Loser Rug said, "Facts. The dudes were sounding like simps. She came in with that world is correct flow, bro. Hey. You know what I'm saying? She was right. If somebody right, you know what I'm saying? That's the only thing I care about. You know what I'm saying? She was right. Shout out to Patrick. Patrick said, "Why are we seeing more and more of these foreign newscasters?" That's Sky News. I react to Sky News a lot of times. You know what I'm saying? They've been around for a while. I think they're in Australia. They're under the Rupert Murdoch umbrella of media. They owned by the same people that own Fox, the Wall Street Journal, and New York Times. I'm sorry, New York Post. New York Post. You know what I'm saying? And honestly, I'm gonna keep it a buck. I actually enjoy foreign news more than I enjoy domestic news. I like to get my sources from local news first. Just to watch, I like international news. You know what I'm saying? If American media had better quality, I might possibly be more interested in it. Possibly. Probably not, though. You know what I'm saying? I'm not big on American national news. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, when I do watch American national news, I'm forced to watch Fox. And I'm forced to watch Fox because MSNBC, CNN, ABC, and CBS are far too delusional. I can somewhat deal with and filter the level of delusion that Fox comes with. The other ones, is just, it's not even news. It's just daytime talk. You know what I'm saying? And I got to agree with Mr. J. Foreign news puts American news on blast. Yeah, they do. Big facts. Big facts. So shout out to everybody that came through, man. I really appreciate y'all. Shout out to the replay gang. You know what I'm saying? I might actually start putting the replays on members only. You know what I'm saying? People don't, it's the same as the other channels. You know what I'm saying? People don't rock with the replays. So we'll see. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the 4Stream sponsors. I definitely appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all show some love to Patrick. Definitely appreciate you as always, bro. Shout out to DSB for becoming a member. Make sure that y'all, check out the membership. We got new membership emojis over here. Different ones than, BLR. So y'all might like them. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my man Kirk. Definitely appreciate you, bro. And shout out to Kirk for hitting the super chat. Duplo. You know what I'm saying? Duplo.
Again!
Definitely appreciate it. All right. Make sure y'all check out some of the clips. You know what I'm saying? Make sure y'all check out some of the replays because they might not be up for that long. The bad boys might be gone if you wake up in the morning. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? Hit the bell icon on the Premiere windows. Don't go anywhere. This will take you into another one. We'll be back tomorrow, probably at the same time with some new stuff. And as always, ladies and gentlemen,